subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Honestly, we can pretend that nothing has happened. If you don't want to, don't blame us for being rude. Brandon, my 10th district now agrees to join your army, provided that you kill this guy. Me too. There must be no such guy on Meteor Street. Several leaders spoke up. Before Liku appeared, the entire Meteor Street was in a delicate state of balance. Although Brandon's first district was stronger than the leaders of other areas, it was definitely not too strong. But now, anyone who is not blind can see that the strength of this guy in front of him is absolutely terrifying. If everyone does not unite, I am afraid there is no hope. Friend, you must have consumed a lot of physical strength when you used this move just now. If we choose to escape, you should not be able to catch up one by one, but when you are weak, we will fight back. You don't want to worry about our counterattack all day long, right? Brandon threatened with a gloomy face, and a layer of flames suddenly emerged around his body. Yes, the idiot big gold teeth, is not weak. It must have consumed a lot for you to kill him. Stand in front of me, you idiots. Protect me. Promise Boss Brand that we can live in peace as neighbors, otherwise don't blame us. Several people in charge threatened sinisterly. Alas, why do you always not understand when I speak human language? AI ran Liku's side lightly, raised a finger in the direction of Brandon. White thunder flash. Boom, a flash of light, as thick as a bucket, exploded instantly. The entire conference room was completely penetrated, and a transparent hole appeared on the wall. The old man Brandon actually avoided it, but his face was quite ugly at the moment. The other people in charge were even more shocked. Damn it, this guy can actually use long-range attacks. Fire! Brandon was also angry and waved his hand violently. In an instant, he seemed to have turned into a vent for the torrent of flames, and the raging flames started from him and vented towards Aizen. Get out of the way, Brandon, you lunatic! FK. The other people in charge quickly moved away, and those who couldn't dodge were engulfed by the flames in an instant. In the flames, they screamed miserably, and soon they were silent and turned into charcoal. And in the eyes of everyone, Aizen, Erika, and Lillian didn't have time to escape at all, and were directly engulfed by the flames. As if worried that the fire was not burning thoroughly enough, Brandon, the old man, turned into a flamethrower and released his fire power desperately. Even the concrete floor and walls began to crack, and the whole house was shaky. Come on, Brandon, burn this monster to death. After he dies, I'm willing to respect you as the boss. That guy is finished. Damn it, the steel bars were melted directly. How could a person resist it? Erika, that idiot, is dead too. She deserves it. Damn it. Brandon, there should be a lot of empty areas on Meteor Street now. Can we redivide the areas? Yes. Brandon, boss. Realizing that this time it was not a crisis, but a great opportunity. The leaders were excited all of a sudden. It's good to die. The more people die, the bigger the pie they will get. The flames lasted for almost a quarter of an hour, and Brandon swore that he had never used his abilities so hard in his life. He even felt like his abilities had made some breakthroughs. Such a high temperature is equivalent to a furnace. Not to mention people, even if metal fell in it, it should be burned into juice now. Brandon, who was sweating profusely, seemed to have a serious illness, his chest heaving violently, breathing heavily, and staring at the house. The flames gradually died out. It was the high temperature that made the air a little distorted. Boom! Finally, the whole house could no longer bear it and collapsed. The concrete turned into powder after the high temperature test, and the steel bars inside had melted into molten iron. But everyone was still a little nervous. The smoke and dust gradually dissipated. Everyone finally saw the situation clearly. That monster should be completely dead, right? A person in charge spoke. When the others were about to speak, their voices suddenly got stuck in their throats, as if they were strangled by a hand, and they couldn't say anything when they reached their mouths. Everyone, including the gangsters, widened their eyes and their expressions were completely like seeing a ghost, and their eyeballs were almost popping out. Brandon almost died without a breath. His expression was extremely horrified. In the hot ruins, the whole house has collapsed, but in the collapsed house, there was still an intact area of about 5 meters. The intact ground, intact chairs, and even intact curtains. The devil-like man was still sitting on the chair with a smile on his face, looking at Brandon, who looked like Oda. Behind him, Erica also had an excited and horrified expression, and Lillian still had a blank look in her eyes. The 3 people, not to mention being burned to death, even the corners of their clothes did not show any signs of being burned. It was as if there was an invisible, transparent glass cover that completely separated them from the flames. What the hell? How is it possible? Brandon staggered back a step, feeling his whole head buzzing as if it had exploded. He had played with fire all his life, and he had never seen such a situation before him. This had been burning for more than 10 minutes, and even the steel had been burned into juice. The other party was still intact and even protected the other 2. Is this just a small flame? It won't be enough to light candles at my birthday party in the future. Eisen stood up slowly, looked at Brandon, and smiled. But this smile fell on the eyes of this old man, and it was even more terrifying than the smile of the god of death. At this moment, all the hairs on his back stood up. Chapter 89 Emitter Gold. Small 5 elements, clone technique gold. Run. Almost at this moment, Brandon made the most correct choice in his life. He retreated, but Eisen Lee Ku was faster. Quick gold. Thunder foot shaving. It was just a moment. A blue arc flashed by. Everyone even saw Eisen Lee Ku sitting in the same place, but in the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Brandon. So fast. A simple sword slash. The smooth mirror-like blade reflected Eisen's handsome face and cut through the air, leaving a perfect slash mark in the air, tear like the crisp sound of paper being cut in the astonished eyes of everyone. The former Meteor Street boss Brandon, the first street, was torn apart. He still had a horrified expression on his face, his eyes widened, as if he couldn't believe it. The other Meteor Street elders below saw this scene. Their eyes almost popped out. They couldn't help swallowing, and their hearts were pounding. Too strong. This guy is definitely a monster. Azom Lee Ku frowned slightly, because he was surprised to find that the Brandon he had just killed turned into flames and dissipated. Not bad. Fire clone. Haha. It was only used in that instant, and even his perception was blinded. Looking over, he suddenly found a figure appeared 100 meters away. It was Brandon, who was desperately fleeing. At this moment, he had long lost his usual calmness, and his expression was full of panic and fear, releasing so many flames before almost exhausted his physical strength. So now he was panting even when running away. And in Brandon's extremely terrified eyes, his pupils clearly reflected Lee Ku's rapidly approaching figure. Too fast. Even he only saw some afterimages flying quickly, with a trace of lightning rippling. This guy really has no shortcomings? I haven't even seen the other party's real moves so far. But even so, he was completely defeated. Don't kill me. I'm from the troop. Brandon suddenly shouted, and cold sweat broke out all over his body. He knew that if he didn't shout loudly, he would be beheaded immediately. Azom Lee Ku stopped and looked at the panting old man in front of him with a slightly different look. Trigger 930? Yes, sir. I am from the Phantom Troop. If you kill me, you will definitely offend the Phantom Troop. They are all the world's top wanted criminals, with a bounty of tens of billions. Of course, I'm not threatening you, sir, but it's not worth it to affect your safety for someone like me. Brandon's heart was about to jump out, and after seeing Lee Ku stop, he quickly told all the information related to the Phantom Troop like pouring beans. Lee Ku understood the general meaning. This guy was just a puppet supported by the people in the brigade. Not only will they help the brigade find some talented people, they will also transfer most of the profits obtained in this area to the brigade. To put it bluntly, Meteor Street is actually controlled by the brigade behind the scenes, and Brandon is just a rent collector in public. After seeing Eisen Lee Ku stop, Brandon seemed to have his confidence rekindled. Sure enough, this guy is afraid of the brigade. After all, those guys are absolutely lawless, and even have the power to directly destroy a country. Now they are wanted by the whole world. No matter who it is, no one wants to provoke such a troublesome guy, not to mention that the other party is a team. Compare with a guy like himself who has a base camp, it is much more difficult to deal with. My lord, I think your strength is very good. If you are willing, I can recommend you to the lord of the brigade. Brandon, like an old orange peel, squeezed out a smile on his face and said flatteringly, Phantom troops, sure enough. Even if those guys left here, they were actually inextricably linked to Meteor Street. No matter what, those guys are all people who walked out of the ruins. For me, the entire Spider Shadow group is a very good mysterious copy. If I can kill all those guys, my attributes and entries will definitely skyrocket. As for what Brandon, the old funny guy, thinks in his heart that he is afraid of the Spider Shadow group, that's pure nonsense. I wish I could see the Spider Shadow group directly. It would be best if I could kill their leader, Krallo, directly. Krallo's entry can absorb other abilities. Of course, it's quite troublesome to use. How can it compare to mine? Oh, how did you contact those guys? Give me their contact information. Bab. Azomliku smiled at the trembling old Toby. Sir, no, I really dare not hide it. I don't have the specific contact information of the brigade, but their people will come here every 6 months, and I will give them the relevant taxes of this area, so as to obtain their protection. Brandon told the truth. Is that so? Don't you have other ways to contact them? For example, private phone calls or letters or something like that. Azom stroked his chin and smiled. No, I absolutely dare not lie. You know that there is no specific contact information for any brigade master. That group of masters are wanted criminals all over the world, and it is impossible to leave such a way. Brandon explained, but don't worry, I will definitely recommend you to them at that time. With your strength, you can definitely join their team. Oh, so? Then you don't have to live. Azom said with a smile. What? Brandon thought he had heard wrong, and the smile on his face disappeared in an instant, just like a whitewashed wall, which turned pale and bloodless. No, you can't do this to me. I am Brandon, the strongest in Meteor Street. Since we have to die, let's die together. After realizing that he was being fooled, Brandon instantly entered an unprecedented state of anger. He was completely desperate because at this moment, he could not be the opponent of the man in front of him. The opponent's defense, speed, and even the strength of the knife far exceeded his own. There is only one way to die if he continued to fight, so he had decided to perish together. Brandon's body grew rapidly, like an inflated balloon, and the temperature of the air around him rose rapidly. Not good. Erica's expression changed suddenly, and she quickly protected Lillian and pulled her back. The other people in charge also realized the horror of the situation. They fled madly in fear. Ignorance is the greatest fear. Azomliku shook his head and raised his hand. Psychic power was a transparent sphere that cannot be seen by the naked. I directly wrapped Brandon. Boom, everyone was shocked to see Brandon explode in front of Liku like a blazing fireball, or like a burning sun. But there was no terrifying high temperature released, only the dazzling light, which even swallowed Liku directly. But as the vision gradually returned to normal, everyone's expression became extremely horrified. Liku still stood in the same place, his right arm had disappeared, and there were a lot of burn marks on his body, and his clothes were burnt. My lord, Erica exclaimed. For the first time, Lillian's empty eyes showed color, and she rushed over desperately. That idiot was blown to death by old Dung Bi. Great. It's really great. I didn't expect such a good ending. Today must be my lucky day. Ha. From now on, we have the final say on Meteor Street. It's really stupid. He actually endured the self-explosion of this old Dung Bi. Ha. Some of the elders who saw this scene were already laughing wildly with excitement. They never dreamed that it would be such a double death ending. It's just perfect. Brandon died, the angry bear Nox died, and this extraterritorial demon also died here. Meteor Street is still theirs, and from now on, everyone's territory will expand several times. This is definitely a lucky day for them. But there are still a few people who dare not speak loudly, for fear of alarming the gods in heaven. They just stare at Liku's direction. The drums in their hearts are beating with uncertainty because he should have died after suffering this level of self-explosion damage. But the opponent was still standing in the same place. But his right arm had completely disappeared, and even the burnt bone residue could be seen, and even half of his cheek was burned. My lord! Erica was so scared that her soul was trembling. She knew that once Aizen Lee Ku died, she would definitely be the next to die without any surprise. I can only say that Brandon's self-explosion was really amazing. Standing in the same place. Aizen Lee Ku exhaled a long breath of turbid air. His eyes were still extremely calm, as if the pain he had suffered was not enough for him to share. Normally, Lee Ku would naturally not feel any pain. This was a mind beast constructed by his own lightning. It was just because his strength was too strong now. Even the lightning inside his body was repaired intact. But in fact, Lee Ku was in so much pain because he switched to his original body when he killed the opponent in the end. Only in this way could he activate the system's plundering function at the moment of killing the opponent. And the main reason was that he wanted to explain the power of this self-destructing truck. So he came here specially, and he didn't activate any defense effect at all, and he had to bear it completely with his own body. If the Iron Tank Gold and the enhanced defense effects were activated, this level of fire would not be able to break the defense at all. But if you do that, it will not be challenging. It still hurts a little, but the reward is also very rich. Lee Ku took a deep breath. But his vest Aizen had no expression, because Aizen's expression was constructed by the power of thunder, which is equivalent to a mask. His right arm was indeed blown off. DJ, the arm that was clearly broken, was repairing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The muscles and bones were growing automatically, and the burns on the face. Real super speed regeneration. It was really awesome. As long as it wasn't a fatal injury where the head was instantly pierced and the entire brain was instantly destroyed, any other injuries could be recovered by consuming one's own physical strength. Just a few breaths passed, and in everyone's stunned expressions, Aizen Lee Ku's injuries had completely recovered. They even saw with their own eyes that the other party's broken arm, severely injured chest, and burns on the skin were all repaired quickly. And the key is, Brandon, the old man, really gave me a very good surprise. Ding, you killed Brandon, the first veteran of Meteor Street, and automatically plundered the opponent's entry. Ding, congratulations on obtaining Eider Telekinesis Gold, Fire Telekinesis Gold. Ding, Lucky Star Gold talent is activated, and the plunder entry is forcibly designated. Fire Telekinesis Clone, Purple. Ding, you have Eider Double Purple. Currently, Eider, Gold plus Double Purple plus Blue. Ding. You have Thunder Telekinesis Beast, Red, Telekinesis Clone Gold ability, Fire Clone, Purple automatically fused. Ding. Congratulations on your new skill, Small 5 Elements Clone Gold, currently lit, Thunder, Fire. A sound like the sound of nature rang in Lee Ku's mind. As he cleaned up this area these days, these monsters and bosses, Lee Ku discovered a special way to use his Lucky Star talent. This talent is a post-use talent. You can specify it after the 10% automatic copy probability of defeating the opponent is triggered, or after the random plundering effect of killing the opponent is activated. This can ensure that all the items you need can be dropped to the greatest extent. Perfect. Really good. A wave of fat. Emitter directly pulled gold. And he even realized his own skill, the 5 elements clone technique. Lee Ku was surprised for a moment, and then he found that the relevant information was automatically integrated into his mind. Although the ability of the fire clone is purple, just when the old man fled just now, he could even confuse himself. Now, it has been promoted to a golden item and has become a small 5 elements clone technique. For me, it is definitely a very good skill. If you want to know what the specific effect is, you still need some time and space to figure it out. It is naturally inconvenient in this place now. This sudden scene made Erica and Lillian dumbfounded. The two women didn't expect that Lee Ku, who was obviously dying, would be resurrected. Except for the fact that his shirt was gone and his muscular chest was exposed, there was no visible wound. Even the burned hair was restored to its original state. Erica was trembling all over and passed out on the spot. One, oh my God, am I dreaming? Is this guy really a human? This kind of injury can actually be restored. The leaders who saw this scene were terrified. An unprecedented fear enveloped everyone's heart. They almost didn't even think about it and fled frantically, because just now they thought Liku was dead and ready to betray, and what they just said must have been heard by the other party. If they don't run now, when will they run? If you make a wrong choice, you often have to pay a heavy price. I feel that you will be eliminated by this era. Azone Liku shook his head in disappointment and pointed his finger at the fleeing guys. In an instant, imitation of Ghost Dao White Thunder. Thunderbolts as thick as buckets rushed out, blazing and dazzling, as if falling on the hearts of everyone present, accompanied by the miserable screams of the betrayers before they died. Chapter 90, I Am Such a Good Person. Meteor Street. Area 1, the original Brandon Mansion. Aizen Liku is high up, looking down like a king. I have to say, Lao Ding knows how to enjoy himself. He even made his chair like this, giving him a kingly feeling. There are 13 areas and 13 elders in Meteor Street, and now 6 are still alive. The others have all reported to the underworld. The few noob leaders who were solved after Brandon were really a bit lame, and the best entry they brought to Liku was only purple. And 3 of them were enhancers. I can only say that I barely pushed my enhancer entry forward a little bit. Enhancer has become a red entry, and now it requires a lot of experience points. Of course, none of this matters, because leaders are like leeks. After shaving one, another will grow out. It just takes time to grow. Meteor Street has relatively few gold entries, but there are many purple ones. It is the best in that it is the most abundant. It will become a continuous supply area for entries in the future. Do you have any other opinions? If you have different opinions, you can raise them. If you want to betray Lord Aizen in the future, Brandon and Nox will be your fate. Erica sneered and glanced at the few remaining people in charge in front of her. These guys used to look at her coldly, but now they are out of reach. The appearance of Aizen made her the third in command of Meteor Street. I have made it very clear about the management requirements of the block in the future. I believe you will do well, right? Aizen Liku smiled and looked at the elders. The people present were trembling all over. They were completely afraid of being killed. If they still didn't agree at this point, then Song Yu, who was waiting for them, would become a household body. Haven't you seen Nox, who didn't give face at the beginning, and the big gold tooth who spoke nonsense at the negotiation table, and the former leader Brandon? Now they have all become corpses. Of course, we will strictly abide by your words, sir. We will never let the death toll in our jurisdiction exceed the standard. Don't worry, sir. Even if we tighten our belts, we will definitely ensure that those untouchables are as alive as possible. We will definitely do it. Don't worry, sir. All the elders present voted in favor, because those who didn't vote in favor are now dead. I always feel that they are too lazy to develop Meteor Street. Normally, as a time traveler, you can do some technological innovation or farming in this area. Let Meteor Street embark on the road to rise. But these things are not important to Liku. All he wants is a place with a steady supply of entries. Sometimes you can even consider killing some guys. If this area becomes too law-abiding and peaceful, it will make it more troublesome for you to harvest entries in the future. Killing is always easier than defeating with a 10% probability. What's more, today's Meteor Street is like a huge jar for breeding poisonous insects. Those with excellent entries will naturally stay until the end. It is reasonable to control a certain death rate, but don't let too many people die. Although the scavengers with white entries are very weak, they are even worthless. However, the human race has a very special feature. That is, they can reproduce and reproduce in the future, and maybe some top geniuses can be born. Therefore, it is also very important for Liku to maintain a certain base of the bottom population. Therefore, Liku's approach is quite simple. He diluted the profits of these gangs, used these profits to establish some regular relief distribution points, and also carried out some infrastructure construction, garbage cleaning, and classification tasks in Meteor Street. As long as the scavengers are willing to complete these tasks, they can get a meal. At least they will not starve to death. A large amount of infrastructure will bring many jobs. Of course, the salary is a meal, and there is garbage classification. If these garbage are recycled and sold, there will also be very good profits. In fact, it is equivalent to taking from the people and using it for the people. However, Likud does not intend to make further economic rule of law construction. He will keep Meteor Street at a relatively stable and chaotic level and select those excellent talents step by step. Then when the time comes, he will come to harvest leaks. As for the day of harvesting leaks, it has been set. It is the day when the brigade of Loud Dang Brandon revealed to Liku to come to collect rent. If it happens to be that day, those guys will be dealt with by the way. Isn't it wonderful? Very good. It is a pleasant thing to cooperate with smart people. Lillian will represent me to exercise power here, and Erica will be my deputy. If one day I find them dead, all of you guys will die with them. Is there a problem? Eisenlee Ku smiled at the few people. No problem. We will definitely follow the arrangements. Sir, we promise. I promise with all my personality. The guys present promise solemnly. Personality is not worth much. I will implant a telekinetic bomb. If anyone tries to betray me, your head will explode like a watermelon like this. Eisenlee Ku sighed with his fingers. An array of white lightning fell on a bronze statue next to him, and the guy's head exploded instantly. This sudden scene directly frightened the elders and trembled all over. Okay, you can also choose not to implant my telekinetic bomb. This is your freedom. I never like to force others. Eisenlee Ku smiled. IFG. Several elders felt like vomiting blood. What do you mean by not wanting to be forced? Isn't this forced or what? But after hesitating for a few seconds, they had no choice at all. One by one, they accepted Lee Ku's bomb implant with a bitter face. Erica was extremely excited when she saw this scene. She was so happy that she felt a sense of honor. Although they were all implanted with this telekinetic bomb by Lee Ku, he was the first one. Okay, Lillian, Erica, Meteor Street is handed over to you. Try to reduce casualties as much as possible. Of course, if there are guys who really disobey, you can kill them directly or tell me. And everyone, I'm looking forward to the answers you will give me in half a year. If someone gives me a result that I'm not satisfied with, I will be very unhappy at that time. Azom Liku smiled and glanced at the people present. Suddenly, these so-called Meteor World elders were like quails, refusing to look at Liku at all and nodding like chickens pecking at rice, as if they were afraid that they would be remembered by this terrifying new boss if they reacted too slowly. BA. Don't worry, boss. We will never let you down. We promise. Finally, in the horrified eyes of this group of people, Eisenlee Ku was sent away. The matter of Meteor Street has come to an end for the time being. Now, this place has completely become his own chive garden, and he only needs to come here regularly to cut a chive. As for whether Lillian and Erica are doing well here, Liku will not care. Anyway, they're just a few OPK that he has pulled up for no reason. If they can serve as housekeepers well, he doesn't mind letting them continue to serve. If they die here, it can only be said that they are not strong enough. Anyway, no matter whether there is trouble here or not, there will always be a leader, and he can deal with the guys inside. Leaks are like this. There's always another crop after one is cut. Watching Eisen's back as he left, Erica's eyes were complicated. She clenched her fists. She suddenly regretted the tattoo she had. She was a beauty back then, but now the boss hates tattoos. Decision made. Must remove these tattoos. Give the boss a surprise the next time we meet. It would be best if I could climb into the boss bed. As for Lillian, she is just a lucky one. Lillian, with empty eyes, rarely showed emotions in her eyes. She finally understood. She met the angel from heaven that the priest told her when she was a child. No matter what the other party does, she will obey unconditionally. 1 week later, Ukexin City, at the gate of the manor of the top wealthy Nasra family. Sir, this is it, but I can't help you if you can get in. The Nasra family is the family of Right, the top rich man in Ukexin City. I hope you'll be careful and don't offend them. After receiving a full 10,000 ringgits, the taxi driver's attitude couldn't be better. This is equivalent to his weekly salary. I didn't realize that the little guy in the back seat is quite young, but he is definitely a rich second generation. Well, thank you, you can go. Lika got out of the car and stretched. After leaving Meteor Street, he went directly here, the starting point of the next plot. And the daughter of Right Nasra is very capable. She can write prophetic poems. If she does it well, she can predict it. It doesn't matter if she doesn't do it well. I don't know if Karapika has come, but on the way here, I asked the driver and heard that the Nasra family is recruiting bodyguards in this period of time just to deal with the large auction that will be held soon. As the richest man in this city, Light Nasra can be said to have climbed up completely relying on the ability of his arrogant daughter Ani. He became the top gangster in this city, even second only to the level of the elders. In the eyes of ordinary people, the 10 elders are almost equivalent to the authority of the president of a country, which is absolutely unattainable. But in Liku's eyes, there is basically no difference between them and scum, because the beasts arranged by the so-called 10 elders couldn't even deal with a Yuvajan in the brigade, and they were all arrogant. They're really weak. But even so, looking at the ordinary copies of the Hunter world, it is also a very good choice, because the abilities of these guys may not be of high quality, but they have special abilities. Just like the entry of luck, even a white Liku is willing to exchange it for a golden entry. No way. Some entries are just very nice. If you calculate the time, Kurapika should also come to the rich man's house to apply for a job during this period, but I don't know if Kurapika has learned the corresponding nun after I appeared. It's a pity. In fact, according to reason, Kurapika's ability should be very good. But in order to deal with the brigade, he set himself, BRJ, directly turned his ability into a special ability, specifically restraining the members of the brigade, but it is very ordinary for other ordinary people. It is also a kind of waste of natural resources. However, these have nothing to do with Liku. Although he and Kurapika can be regarded as friends, this is their own choice, and there is no need to interfere too much. Knock, knock, knock. Liku knocked on the door of the manor politely. The interior of the entire manor is very magnificent. Even the iron door is bronze and carved, and it is worth a lot of money at a glance. It is worthy of being a manor of the top rich. And looking around, Liku saw at a glance at least dozens of hidden cameras. And behind the iron door, there are those dogs in the manor that seem to be doing nothing and basking in the sun. If nothing unexpected happens, those guys should have been controlled by other ability users, which is equivalent to surveillance cameras. It is of course easy to break in here with my own ability, but there is no need to alarm the snake. After all, the biggest goal of this trip is to deal with Phantom Troop. Brush this special copy. Let's talk about it later. He's a good man. The murderers were Ulquiora and Lao Lu Baozi, and the one who cleaned up the territory was Eisen Hairspray. What does Zhou Shuren's crime have to do with me? Lu Sun? Well, take it. Don't come again next time. An old man walked over slowly and saw the young man Liku. He looked around again and didn't find anyone else. He took out a 100 yuan ring from his pocket. DB. This sudden scene made Liku laugh and cry. I didn't expect that a dignified time traveler, the big boss behind Meteor Street, the first level combat power in the human world, a tough guy who will break through the entire Dark Continent in the future. I was actually considered a beggar by this old man in front of me. If I hadn't glanced at it, the old man in front of me was all white, with only one purple loyalty. I really thought this old man was a hermit like 10 sweeping monks. I'm here to protect Mr. Right. Liku blocked the door with his foot and said with a smile, Sorry, the recruitment of bodyguards has ended in the morning. Now, we're temporarily not recruiting bodyguards, and you don't seem to meet the requirements. The old man was stunned and shook his head. As for the recruitment of bodyguards, many people came after the Noster family just issued a recruitment to the whole society. But most of them were rejected without even seeing the face. The reason is very simple. As the top rich people in this city, the bodyguards they want must be strong. Those guys just come here to make a living, or they are blindly confident in their own strength. Even some professional hunters were directly eliminated. You can imagine how high the requirements are to become a family bodyguard. Of course, if there's a letter of recommendation from the black market or an introduction from other big guys, it will be different, or if your past record is very dazzling. Only these people are qualified to enter the manor. Do you know this? Liku was too lazy to talk nonsense and took out his 2-star hunter license directly. When the old man saw the license, he was stunned. Chapter 91. Oath and Restriction. Red 2-star Hunter. The old man was dumbfounded. This time, the master did have quite a few professional lovers coming because of the job fair, but quite a few were eliminated and only a few stayed. But 2-star Hunter, and so young? This little guy in front of him is actually a master? This is completely different. A license is a stepping stone, just like academic qualifications. It is not the most important thing, but it is absolutely necessary. Otherwise, you can't knock on this door, and no matter how capable you are, others will not believe you. But now it is different. As the old butler of this manor, he naturally still has this kind of vision. No one would be so stupid as to fool everyone with a fake license. Once this kind of thing is known, it will attract the investigation of the Hunter Association, and it will be more trouble than it is worth. Inside the manor, in a lavishly decorated hall, several people are already waiting. Among them is Kurapika, who is familiar to Liku. At this moment, he is waiting with several other higher bodyguards. In the past 6 months, Kurapika has maintained the development of the Fate line and learned to use none. And it has been made exclusive, only targeting the Phantom Troop guys. This time, he came here with the determination to die and wait for the people of the brigade to appear, so as to take revenge. Because of the information found in the Zoldyck family, the people of Phantom Troop are very likely to arrive here, because this time the world's top auction, they're going to snatch some related things. So Kurapika definitely doesn't want to miss such a good opportunity. The Nasra family is the top family in the city. As a bodyguard here, he will have the opportunity to enter and exit the auction venue directly, and he will also have the right to walk automatically. 193-inch, the most suitable profession. In order to obtain this profession, Kurapika awakened his telekinesis under the guidance of the master and finally got the introduction from the black market to join. You made us wait here for so long. It's really too arrogant. Among the waiting people, the short-haired young man, Sia Kimono, spoke. Ah, don't be so anxious. Good things always need to wait, said the great poet Bajiao, a man with a sturdy body wearing a vest, but who likes to recite poetry. There's also a bald head like a mouse, but the voice of a girl, Feijia, whose head is like a sky rocket, and so on. A group of Karami who can be named or not gathered together, that is, the so-called bodyguard group of the rich this time. The whole team is naturally Kurapika, the most powerful. In front of this group of people, there was a monitor with 10 men sitting there with their legs crossed. Dazoni, the captain of the bodyguard team. Captain Dazoni, there's another member applying for bodyguards. Please wait a moment. The old man led Liku in and said quickly, didn't we agree not to recruit more people? The number of people is almost enough. Dazoni on the screen was a little unhappy and glanced at the old man coldly. It's actually a handsome little brother, the pretty woman with a rocket-shaped hairstyle, who looked quite pretty and slim, smiled at Liku. Feijia, the woman who had the ability to capture men, but in the end seemed to have died in Shizuku's hands. Melody and other applicants present also looked towards the direction of the door. Liku was seen walking in with the old servant. Brother Ku, after seeing Liku arrive, Kurapika shouted excitedly, Brother Ku, are you here to apply for a bodyguard too? I thought I would see you on the day of the auction. Kurapika, we are so lucky that we met again. Of course, I just came to see you, by the way. I heard that the tickets for the auction are not available now. If you are a bodyguard, you can go in, so I came here. Liku walked up quickly and explained with a smile. Did you choose to apply for a bodyguard just to get into the auction and get all the tickets? Such an original intention is not what a qualified security personnel should have. Our team is now. The Dazoni on the display screen has begun to get impatient, and Liku obviously looks like a young man. Even if he has the ability, it's probably not a big deal. Besides, this guy came to apply for a bodyguard just to enter the auction. I really don't know why this damn old thing lets such a guy in. Captain Dazoni, this guy is a 2-star professional hunter, seemingly noticing that Dazoni might say something wrong if he continued. The old servant quickly interrupted his speech and emphasized, What? After hearing this, the security team member Dazoni swallowed the words that were already on the tip of his tongue. The other applicants present were stunned, and looked at Liku with disbelief on their faces. Two-star hunter? So exaggerated? So young? Melody was surprised. However, she deeply felt that Liku's heartbeat was extremely stable. Even at the moment when Liku arrived, she felt an inexplicable sense of oppression, which made her instinctively fearful and want to escape from here. Really, what the other party said was absolutely true. The one in front of her was a real two-star hunter. So powerful, very strong, including Kurapika, because during this period of time, she had been in everyone's heartbeat. The most stable one among them was Kurapika. Although the heartbeat cannot determine anything, it can also vaguely infer the various characteristics of each person's strength and emotions. Being able to keep a stable heartbeat in such an oppressive scene must be full of absolute confidence in one's own strength. Is the two-star hunter also coming to apply for the job? What's wrong with this guy? Black Brother Skavara looked at Liku unexpectedly, because as a professional two-star hunter, the salary and benefits received from the association are actually very generous. There's no need to act as a bodyguard, and the two-star hunter as a bodyguard, the price is very amazing. But generally speaking, no two-star people are willing to condescend to be a so-called bodyguard. In that case, it is indeed possible that it is for the tickets, because tickets are indeed gone after they're sold out. Incredible! It seems that he is a real genius. The poet Bajiao couldn't help but look at Liku a few more times. What a handsome little brother. Fei Jie's beautiful eyes were even more colorful, and she even took the initiative to show her goodwill to Liku. A two-star hunter, still so young. His future achievements must be limitless. Haha, two-star hunter? There was even a three-star hunter who came to apply for the job before. As long as you are brave, you can even make the president's license. But I don't care whether you are a real professional hunter or not, nor do I care about the licenses in your hands. The minimum requirement for hiring you is that you are strong enough. To prove this, you must leave here safely first. Captain Dazoni sneered and even looked at Liku a few more times. The next moment, the sound of dense bullets rang out. Fei Jie grabbed the unlucky old servant and blocked him in front of her, while other applicants also used their own tricks to escape. I only saw a group of masked guys appearing in the distance of the hall. They shot at everyone with pistols. They didn't care about the death of everyone. Even the old servant was covered. Alas, it's really cold and ruthless. Liku sighed. Kurapika had released all the chains on his right hand and blocked Liku. He was determined to protect Liku at any time. Although he also knew that Liku was very powerful, he would instinctively stand in front of Liku when he saw such an accident. This was out of trust between friends. It's okay, Kurapika. Along with Liku's words, a terrifying scene appeared in all the applicants present. They were horrified to see that all the bullets stopped in midair. They also stopped in front of Kurapika and in front of the old servant. The old servant was so scared that his eyes widened at this moment. He didn't expect that, as a servant, he would also be used as a human shield for bullets. There were even several bullets that stopped right in front of his eyeballs and forehead. Just listened so strangely. If 1 second had passed, once these bullets hit, he would definitely die without a complete body. Kurapika was also stunned. Not only him, but everyone present looked at the bullets that stopped in place in disbelief. No one thought clearly what was the reason. Don't use this kind of idiotic test method, not to mention using it on this old man. It's really cold-blooded. Liku shook his head and stood in front of Kurapika. At this time, everyone realized that the reason why these bullets stopped was probably because of the guy called the two-star professional hunter. Too weird. The bullets actually stopped. What kind of ability is this? It's unbelievable because incredible. Oh, think constraint. Reddit's really good. The reason why these Sons of Luck can be called Sons of Luck is that their strength and luck will continue to increase with the passage of time. Ordinary people may have all their entries determined in their lifetime, and even through their own tempering, they can only take the entries one step further. But these Sons of Luck are obviously different. It can give birth to brand new luck entries of superb quality. Kurapika in front of him is the best proof. Red entry. But Liku doesn't care much about this entry because once he has this thing, it is also a restriction for Liku. Of course, if there's a chance, I don't mind brushing it out and then crushing it as experience points. I am completely different from Karapika, and I won't give up a whole forest for a small phantom troop. Change to something new. This is too childish. Liku smiled and flicked his fingers. The next moment, these bullets hovering in the air instantly flew back. Only a series of shattering sounds were heard. These shadows, hidden in the cloaks, were completely pierced before they even had time to scream. But Liku seemed to have left half of the shadows on purpose. Those shadows were also obviously stunned for a moment, and then they seemed to have received some kind of instructions and took out their weapons. They all attacked the people present. Hey! Liku smiled, and the other applicants present were even more hastily preparing to fight, but he waved directly to the crowd. Dragon Catching Hand. The skinny guy, Sia Kimono, flew in the direction of Liku without control. And then, in the stunned eyes of everyone, he was grabbed by Liku by the neck and stuck in midair. Then he became a shield, generally to resist the swords stabbing at Liku. What was surprising was that these swords automatically avoided this guy and still went to Liku behind. Boom, the most handy move. Smashing. The skinny guy, Sakamono, didn't even have time to scream. His head hit the ground first, and then with a bang, his head exploded like a watermelon. He couldn't be deader. His headless body was thrown to the ground by Liku like garbage. The black shadows that were attacking others fell to the ground one after another, as if their anger had been drained away, and then quickly shrank, leaving only the black long 4.3 robes on their bodies and the weapons in their hands. It's actually a telekinetic clone. His then is Sia Kimono dead. 2-2. Cruel. He killed people without saying a word. The other applicants present were all stunned, and the security team leader Dazoni on the display couldn't help it, and the corners of his mouth twitched twice like a wolf. The guy who died was his confidant. His strength was definitely not weak. He was his right-hand man. Now that he died, it was definitely a big loss for the security operation, especially the opponent's ability to disperse more than a dozen clones. Damn, this guy was simply too arrogant. Dazoni couldn't help but feel angry, but the fighting power that Liku showed just now was too amazing. He felt his scalp tingling. It can only be said that he was shocked and scared. And Liku here. Ding, you killed Shachimono and randomly looted the opponent's entry. Ding. Congratulations on successfully obtaining multiple mind clone blue, Eider mind power talent blue, disguise blue, Eider mind power blue automatically merges Eider gold, disguise blue automatically merges super copy gold. Ding, you have small 5 elements clone gold, automatically absorb the ability of multiple years of clones, and your small 5 elements clones are automatically upgraded to multiple small 5 elements clone gold. A sound like the sound of nature rang in Jiku's mind. Lika couldn't help but be a little surprised. Unexpectedly, this brought him a pleasant surprise. I swiped a small monster, and it almost exploded a god outfit. It's comfortable. Chapter 92. A small town test taker. Multiple small 5 elements clone gold. Description. You can release multiple clone effects, and each clone has a certain degree of autonomous action ability, etc. Incredibly simple description, but it really gave a small surprise. After the entry is evolved and upgraded, it will have a multiple clone effect. In fact, Liku's previous clone ability can also be divided into multiple parts, such as when he was in the Sky Arena, he split into 3. But the clones at that time were almost the limit of what Liku could control. But now that he has this multiple clone effect, he can directly change B0 or even more. Not to mention the reluctance. Sometimes adding a screw will change the civilization failure of the entire machine. So cool. At this moment, Liku was in a very good mood. So even after killing this guy, he showed a happy smile on his face. You boy, you actually killed someone directly? Just now, Sakamono just received my order and deliberately tested you here. Why didn't you hold back? The Dazoni on the screen was a little angry. He didn't expect that his authority as the captain of the security team was challenged directly. He originally wanted to intimidate these newcomers and make them obey his orders in the subsequent actions. But he never thought that he would intimidate them. But he directly shocked his confidant to death. What are you, the captain of the security team, doing there? I didn't eat your rice, did I? Li Kejin was a little annoyed with this guy. Before, Xiaokamono shot everyone directly under the pretext of testing. If he was weaker, he would be shot to death. At most, he would be given some pension, but the problem was that he was alone in this world. Who would the pension be given to? In other words, being shot to death here would be in vain. That guy even let his telekinetic clone take out weapons to assassinate everyone. In other words, it is reasonable for weak people to be injured or even die here. And he just hit this guy lightly, and others shot so many guns at him, which can be regarded as quite kind. It can even be said that 17 is kind. How can it be said to be excessive? Damn it. I am like Dr. Turtle who came to apply for a security guard position, but I was still being picked on. It's really a dog's eye looking down on people. Luckily, I have a high quality and don't bother with this guy. Otherwise, I would kill him through the screen. What are you talking about, kid? Daiso was furious. Kurapika stood in front of Li Ku directly, with the iron chain in his right hand taken out, ready to fight at any time. TSK, TSK, TSK. I like this little brother with personality. Fei Jie said a little coquettishly. I didn't realize that the two-star hunter brother is really hot-tempered. The poet Basho sighed. Black brother Skawara was hesitant to speak. It's not hot-tempered. He is really very powerful. Even from beginning to end, even if he killed the opponent, I didn't hear any changes in his heartbeat. He is very strange. Bald, rat-toothed girl Melody looked a little panicked. She felt a terrifying aura from Li Ku, like a demon king. Other applicants might not feel it, but he could clearly feel it. She even wanted to escape from here, not caring whether this application was successful. I don't have the habit of talking too much nonsense. Go and inform the owner of your family, and tell him that from now on, I will be the security captain of this team. If the idiot in the TV doesn't want to do it, let him get out. Li Ku spoke directly, walked forward with a swagger, sat in the main seat in the hall, and then looked at the other applicants in front of him with a smile on his face. Kurapika will be the vice captain of the team. If you don't want to do it, you can leave. If you do, just listen to me. Wow, what a charming little brother. I like you so much. Are you willing to be my boyfriend? Little brother. Fei Jie walked up with her slender waist twisting, her pretty face with a charming smile. Her red lips were moist, and she slowly approached Li Ku. Ha! A slap came over. Fei Jie, who was about to touch Li Ku, was beaten dizzy on the spot. I'm not interested in a mouth that thousands of people have tasted. Li Ku was still sitting there, and didn't even see clearly when he made the move. Ding! You defeated Fei Jie. 10% chance to automatically copy the other party's entry. Ding! Copy successful, ding. Congratulations on getting 180 points of Love Slave. Purple rubbish. This woman's nun is a midder, but there are only blue entries. Even Li Ku was too lazy to use his lucky star talent on this woman. It's just a waste. The blue entry is not much different from the white one now. Her ability is that any opposite SX, once kissed, will kneel down at her feet and become her slave. It is precisely with this trick that this woman has tasted countless men's mouths. Although this woman looks good, Li Ku is a germaphobe for women whose mouths are almost stinky from kissing. Smash. Wait. Forget it. Keep it for now. Li Ku thought about it and decided to keep this ability for now because it would be different if this ability fell on him. This belongs to emitter's non-development. It becomes that the target woman of Li Ku's kiss will be absolutely loyal to Li Ku and become his slave. Although it is a relatively bad ability, it may be useful sometimes. The main reason is that I have traveled to this world, but I am busy with my career and have never thought about any love affairs. If there is a woman at that time, it is not recommended to try it on her. After all, I have traveled to another world, so it is not too much to have a harem. Fei Jie covered her red face and froze in place. With her looks and abilities, she conquered countless men's hearts. Even opponents who were stronger than her were willing to kneel down at her feet and serve as slaves. Originally, she wanted to control Li Ku with her abilities and make him fall deeply in love with her. But it was obvious. Before she could launch her conspiracy, the trap card was destroyed. She even left a very bad impression in front of Li Ku. She began to worry whether Li Ku would know her abilities and take his anger out on her, because everyone felt an inexplicable chill in their spines when they saw the corpse of the skinny monkey whose head was smashed by a hammer not far away. This is the first and last time. If you still plan to use your abilities to deal with me, I will make sure that your face will be worse than a watermelon. Liku spoke to Fei Jie without hesitation. Ba. The woman who was a little coquettish a second ago was as obedient as a quail at this moment. The poet Bajiao and the bald girl Melody, standing by, couldn't help but sweat profusely on their foreheads, and Hage was even shaking slightly. Because unfortunately, in fact, he was also one of the examiners who were hidden this time, but the previous examiner had become a headless corpse. Now he was even more nervous. His heart was beating wildly, and he didn't know whether the next test questions would continue. Anyway, I came here just to act as a bodyguard. It doesn't matter who is the bodyguard captain to me. I will only fulfill my responsibilities in this operation. Captain, I am good at writing poems. Do you need me to write a hidden poem for you? The strong man Bajiao came over with a flattering smile on his face. Damn, who is not afraid? This guy is simply a big devil. Didn't you see that the skinny monkey just wanted to test it just now? And everyone was killed directly. And what that guy said is that this is a real professional hunter. Could it be that this 2-star professional hunter kills ordinary professional hunters as easily as cutting melons and vegetables? The two are not opponents at the same level at all. It's too damn exaggerated. No one will complain about their long life. Even Bajiao, who looks muscular, will not. Gurgle, Black Brother Skawara couldn't help swallowing his saliva. He was extremely tormented in his heart because his order was given by Deizo. If he didn't obey it, it would mean offending the former captain. But if he obeyed it, he would offend the current captain. No matter which side he offended, he would be in a very bad situation. Captain, I report. I am also one of the undercovers. Xiachi Mano is a professional hunter. I don't know if the association will cause trouble for you if you kill him. I'm not a professional hunter, but I am an emitter. My ability is to control the dogs in the yard. I am a dog breeder. All the dogs in the villa have been given telekinesis by me. They can not only monitor anyone who arrives at the villa, but also attack and fight. Captain, what should I do next? Report completed. Brother Hay walked forward, gave a standard military salute, straightened his chest, but couldn't help shaking all over. Cold sweat slid down his dark face. He didn't dare to look directly at Li Ke. Damn it. This sudden behavior made Bajiao and Fei Jie speechless. Damn it. This guy is simply a fence-sitter. He changed faster than the two of them, and even took the initiative to change sides and surrender, and also exposed his past. When it comes to being a dog or tea, Jiao Mao is definitely the first. Both of them couldn't help but feel in their hearts. He spat in the mouth. Oh, very good. What's your name? Lika took a look at him in surprise. He had to say that this little black guy had a high level of awareness. Although all the entries were garbage blue, this kind of awareness would not hinder his rapid rise in the future. TSK. A very weak ability, but is still very good for monitoring. It is equivalent to a beast speaker. Ordinary people will not notice these dogs with telekinesis. Skavara, if you like, you could just call me Xiaoshi. Skavara smiled flatteringly. He was ready to risk it all. If he offended Izoni, the worst that could happen was that he would be scolded by the other party or even lose his job. But if he offended the big devil in front of him, I'm afraid it would not be that simple. If he was not careful, he would die here. Can't you choose between life and money? What's more, with the terrifying strength of this super devil in front of him, it's obvious that he will definitely be the captain in the future. With such a powerful golden leg holding him, it will be much safer to be a bodyguard this time. It would be best if you could leave a good impression in front of Li Ke, so that when you're in danger, maybe you can save your life. Skavara is not a professional hunter. His ability is relatively weak, so his personal social skills are obviously much more mature. After all, he is also an old man in this 950 circle. If you say that your ability is not good and you don't understand the social skills, then you're still a chicken feather. Oh, Xiaoshi, right? Yes, you can stay. Everyone, what do you think? Li Ke spoke directly as the captain. His eyes swept over the other people. No one dared to look at Li Ke, and most of them were trembling. They even suspected that if they refused, they might be beaten by Li Ke on the spot. Now it feels like sitting on a hot pot, and the butt is burning. My lord, I am willing to stay. Me too. And me. The three of them agreed to stay. That's good too. After all, it's more convenient to have more people in the security team. The guy's death was in vain. The professional association will not bother me at all. After all, there are too many professional hunters who die every year. Besides, this guy was the first to attack. I was just defending myself. It's good enough that he doesn't ask for compensation. He doesn't dare to bother me. Netero is not a guy who has nothing better to do. I'm afraid he will ask if I'm hurt. In this world, the strong always decide the rules, and the weak tremble under the rules. KR, the evil spirit on the display screen, is shaking all over. He must be shocked and scared. Even if he just looks at it through the screen, he can feel that the guy in front of him is absolutely terrifying. The one in his hand must be a 100% real 2-star hunter license, but I am the bodyguard captain appointed by Lord Wright. If I step down so shamelessly, how can I stay in this circle? After all, I have been relying on this for my whole life. Why? What's his name? Liku pointed to the direction of the display screen. Dazoni. His name is Dazoni. Hey, Shausher said very respectfully. Dazoni, right? Where are you? I'll come and find you. Liku stood up and stretched casually. The ground beneath his feet broke apart at a speed visible to the naked eye. On the display screen, Dazoni gritted his teeth and frowned. His face was extremely ugly. This was definitely the greatest shame in his life. Plop. But before Liku could take action, he knelt down directly. I am Shouda, and I am willing to follow your arrangements, Captain. No complaints. Captain, your strength has completely conquered me. I am willing to call you the strongest. The Zoni shouted. Damn it. I'm also a small-town test-taker after all. Which is more important, life or dignity? He could do this question. Chapter 93, Greed Island. The second world begins. At the same time, a secret warehouse. All members of the brigade are here. I have some unfortunate news for you all. Hisoka was defeated in the Sky Arena, and it seems that he was defeated miserably. I'm afraid he will come to the auction later this time. Maki walked out of the shadows and said. Her voice was not loud, but it was like a thunderbolt in the ears of everyone present. Hisoka failed? This guy is a very powerful existence in the brigade, and he is used to being independent and arrogant. But in everyone's opinion, this guy's strength is absolutely unquestionable, and the Sky Arena is just a playground for ordinary people. Will Hisoka lose? Are you sure? Phaeton, with his hands in his pockets and his eyebrows slightly raised, was a little surprised. At least in his opinion, Hisoka is definitely one of the top players in the whole team. Although he has not fought in the actual battle, his intuition will not be wrong. I saw it with my own eyes. One of his arms was completely destroyed. I'm afraid his combat power will decline a lot in the future. Maki said truthfully. Her words instantly changed the faces of everyone present. This means that, in the Sky Arena, where ordinary people fight, there actually appeared an opponent who was capable of defeating strong men of their level. Who defeated Hisoka? Hee. Maki. The big guy Yuvijin grinned and walked up excitedly. His strong muscles were extremely oppressive. Ulquia, a genius who had never heard of any information before. This guy's ability is very strange, like an enhancer, but also like an emitter. Maki briefly described the scene at the time, and also talked about the scene where Shisu was blown up by Chibaku Tensei. Haha, it seems that a very dangerous guy has appeared, who can actually control stones to attack. Nabinaga, dressed as a Japanese samurai, narrowed his eyes slightly, and the thumb of his right hand almost instinctively pressed the hilt of his sword. This is so unexpected. Hisoka is always so confident. I thought he would never lose. Finks with short blonde hair laughed strangely. I've checked it, but the records of the Sky Arena do show that Hisoka lost, and there is no news about him in Ulquiorra. I'm afraid he is a newcomer who has just risen. Shaunuk on the side quickly tapped the keyboard of his mobile phone and quickly found the relevant information. Oh, this is really interesting, isn't it? Hisoka lost to Nobudo. This is big news. Kubi imitated Hisoka's voice. Shizuku, Peeler, and Pakunada were also obviously surprised by the news. It is almost impossible for a member of the brigade to be defeated, let alone in the Sky Arena. Sitting on a stone, the handsome Captain Krallo did not say anything, but squinted his eyes slightly. Captain, compared to this, there's a news that may be worse. Shizuku suddenly said, "We have completely lost contact with our people in Meteor Street, and the Elders' Council has directly refused our contact. If nothing unexpected happens, I'm afraid that the Elders' Council in Meteor Street has now fallen into the control of others." Shizuku said truthfully, "What? Meteor Street has fallen into the control of others? How is it possible? Brandon shouldn't be so weak, right?" Nobinaga was furious. Not only him, but the other members present all looked very ugly at this moment. Before, Hisoka's news was only about the defeat of their individual members, but now the news of Meteor Street has shaken the foundation of the entire brigade. Because most of their income comes from the support of Meteor Street, once they lose control of this area, it will cause a great obstacle to the team's actions. Brandon is dead, including Knox in the 4th District. Now, the one in charge of Meteor Street is Erika in the 9th District, but she is actually just a puppet pushed to the front. The real person behind the scenes is a guy named Aizen Sosuke. Shizuku shook her head. She also received the news not long ago. Aizen Sosuke? You should be good enough to defeat Brandon. I hope this guy can hold on longer under my fist. Yuvajin grinned with a cruel smile. Any news about him? Phaeton looked at Shalnark. This guy has good hacking skills and can quickly collect the information the team wants from the internet. But Shalnark worked hard for a while and finally shook his head helplessly. According to the information sent back by the Planet Informant, I heard that Brandon was almost defeated by a one-sided crushing. This guy is very dangerous and may even be better than Ulquiorra. Shizuku said, "Things seem to be getting more and more interesting. I didn't expect such a rare guy to appear in Meteor Street. He can easily defeat Brandon. This guy's strength is probably not much different from ours. Haha, I can't say for sure if I haven't seen him. Brandon, that idiot, should have mentioned our name before he died, but the other party still chose to kill that idiot. Obviously, he is ready to go against us. Captain, the guy who provoked us must not be let go. But before we get the other party's completely confirmed information, we can't act rashly." Pino is right. Everyone discussed it, but all eyes looked in the direction of the Captain Krallo. Because everyone understood that in such an important group plot, the captain makes the decision. Ulquiorra, Aizen Sosuke, all of them are strong men who suddenly appeared, and the people affected are all our people. Let them go. Meteor Street is there. We could take it back any time if we want. But the auction in Yuxin City only happens once, and that's where we have what we want. Make all your efforts to prepare for the Yuxin City auction. As for Hisoka, don't worry about it for now. In addition, Pano, Shalnark, go investigate the information of these two guys. After we solve the auction, we will go and have a good time with these two friends." Krallo smiled faintly and narrowed his eyes slightly. Yes, Captain, Pano and Shalnark were stunned for a moment, and their hearts were stern. It has been a long time since I saw the captain's expression like this. Obviously, because of these two things, the captain is really angry now. Ulquiorra, Aizen Sosuke, they completely annoyed the captain, and they are afraid that this is the thing they regret most in their lives. At the same time, Gon and Killua, the two have returned to Whale Island and opened a strange box left by their father. After a conversation, they finally opened the box and found the chip left by their father. The two found out that it was a game card. After opening the game to check the relevant information, they were surprised to find that it was a game exclusive to Hunter, and the price was as high as 5.8 billion ringgits. When they saw this number, they were stunned, and the number of copies issued was less than 100, which means that this game card is very rare. And the two directly asked the relevant game manufacturers, saying that this game is no longer in production and has become a limited edition. The two thought about it for a long time, and finally Killua called me G. Originally, Killua was going to threaten him with the limited edition female models of his fat brother Miji, but he didn't expect that the other party was very enthusiastic before he opened his mouth. Killa brother, long time no see. Why did you suddenly think of calling me? Miji was very enthusiastic. 014501317 Faloo 1335333191. But in fact, he looked helpless. There was no way. Killua was now a good friend of the genius Lee Ku, and Grandpa Zeno had issued a death order to the entire family. Everyone in the Zoldyck family must regard Lee Ku as a VIP of the highest level and the highest standard, and even receive the same treatment as the clan leader Zeno. Killua's status and position naturally rose. If it were in the past, the fat man would not be so polite. Second brother Miji, it's like this. Do you know the game Greedislank? Greedislank? Killua, I know. I didn't expect to hear this name from your mouth. That's really great. Do you have his game card? No, I want it very much, but I don't have it. I was only 5 years old when he bought it last time, and I don't have the money to buy it. Although it is limited to 100 copies, each worth 5.8 billion yuan, and can only be traded in cash, there are still more than 20,000 people who ordered it. Later, I thought of many ways to get one, but I couldn't even find out who bought it. This is a legendary game. Killa, where did you find this game? I advise you to give up as soon as possible. It is impossible to find a game card for this thing now. The fat man Miji was a little surprised. When Greedislank was first released, it caused a sensation. Of course, because the price of its release was very expensive, it was actually only open to those wealthy businessmen and professional hunters, and ordinary people didn't even know that there was such a game. As a collector, Miji had naturally heard of this thing, but he was only 5 years old at the time and had no financial strength at all. Second brother, tell me the relevant information you know. In exchange, I can give you the ROM card of Greedislank storage data. Really? Where are you? Cough, cough, cough. Forget it. I can give you the relevant information I know, and you can keep the ROM card yourself. By the way, Grandpa asked me to ask you how you get along with Lord Jiko. Is there anything you need help with? The fat man, Miji, trembled all over his fat body. Of course, he wanted to get the storage data of this limited edition card. With his hacking skills, he had a chance to restore the card directly through these data. At least he thought so. But now, Killua is Lee Ku's good friend. He doesn't have the courage to pull the tiger's beard. Wow, I didn't expect you to be so kind, brother. Thank you in advance, but I'll give you the ROM data. Please help me analyze it. If there is any new situation, please tell me in time. Give me the clue. Killua was also excited. Now he can finally find these relevant clues. He is very curious about this card. Sure enough, soon, the fat man sent the relevant clues. There was no sign of procrastination. He was very efficient. The two of them logged into the website directly according to the clues sent by Miji. This is a special website that requires a hunter license to log in. After entering a very long and complicated URL, click on it. A strange interface appears with several ministers written on it. Hunter Bar, a hunter-only website. You need to enter the hunter license number to log in. Gon quickly entered his hunter license, then the screen in front of him suddenly unfolded, and a bar with a constant stream of customers appeared. But this game screen does not seem to be as good as expected, and it even looks a bit mosaic. It is hard to imagine that a game made by this can be released at a price of up to 5.8 billion yuan. The two people thought about clicking around with the mouse, and finally when they touched the bartender in the bar, an information prompt appeared. A large amount of information was densely packed, and Greed Island was found among them. This is more like a search entry, and if you want to view the information here, a dialog box pops up. Greedisland's information costs 20 million. Yes/no DB, since it is a game that requires money before it starts. The two, Wang Qi and Zhao, did not hesitate at all and directly chose to confirm. When the two of them were in the Sky Arena, they showed off their wealth of several hundred million. A mere 20 million was nothing to them. After paying the 20 million, they finally got the relevant information. It turned out that this was not an ordinary game. Instead, the creator injected the mind into these 100 copies of the software. Once the game starts, the mind will also start. The player will be pulled into this game. As long as the player enters the game will continue even if the power of the host is unplugged. The game will not end until the player dies. In addition, this information also revealed that someone once hired 50 cat people to crack the game. But no one in the 50-person strategy team has survived so far. As of now, the game card has reached 7 copies in the auction registration in Ukexin City. The lowest auction price is 8.9 billion yuan. After seeing this number, Gon and Killua couldn't hold it anymore. 8.9 billion. You should know that this game was only 5.8 billion when it was first released, and it was still sold at this price at the auction. According to the current market conditions, it may cost at least 10 billion to have hope. But this is the only way left by Gon's father to find him. This means that if he can't get enough money and buy this game card, Gon will not be able to find his father. It's over 10 billion rings. I don't know when we can raise it. Why not? Ask brother Killua how he is. I don't know where he is now. Killua is thinking about it. He hasn't seen brother Killua for a long time. He misses him so much. And if it's this kind of trouble, I believe brother Killua will definitely have a way to solve it. Chapter 94. The Manifestation of Chanting. Purple. The 31st part of the Broken Path. Red Fire Cannon in the Nasra Manor. In the VIP lounge. This is what happened, sir. Mr. Liku is a 2-star hunter. His strength is obvious to all of us. It is perfect for him to be the security captain. I am willing to follow Mr. Liku's command. The former Captain Dazoni explained to the video. He had already video chatted with the boss directly and told him about the relevant matters. After receiving the news from Liku and Dazoni's strong recommendation, the gangster Light Nasra also readily agreed to let Liku be the security captain. Kurapika, Deputy Captain Dazoni, cough, cough, cough. His subordinates are Melody, Fagia, Scora, Bajiao, and a few other cats, and of course some ordinary bodyguards. 2-star hunters are quite rare in the entire Professional Hunter Association. Even as the top rich man in the city, it is quite an honor to be able to hire a 2-star hunter. Although Mr. Liku in front of him looks a little too young, he has a genuine 2-star hunter license, which shows that he is a real genius. Moreover, Dazoni specifically emphasized the death of Zai Kimono. That guy was also a professional hunter, and he was killed in seconds. This rich man was pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect to recruit a master like Liku. Of course, Mr. Wright. I originally came here to apply for a bodyguard, but the price is not what you said. Liku sat in the main seat without any hesitation. Just name the price. As long as it is within a reasonable range, I can accept it. Wright said hurriedly. Liku directly stretched out 2 fingers. 200 million Genie? Wright was stunned. This price was already considered relatively high. As a former captain, Dazoni only had 80 million Genie, and other bodyguards were at the level of 20 to 30 million. No, 20 billion Genies. Liku said calmly. Everyone present couldn't help but let out a breath of cold air after hearing this price. Dazoni's face turned extremely bad, as if he and Liku were working together to blackmail his old boss. This almost means that he will not be able to survive in this circle in the future. Kurapika also widened his eyes, because the auction price of the Karuta eyes, which are known as one of the 7 most beautiful eyes in the world, is only 8 billion Genies per pair. That's because they are too rare and belong to the level of rare treasures. But now, it's just a simple protection mission, and Liku actually asked for 20 billion directly. 243 this price is completely equivalent to robbery. Even as a friend, Kurapika, at this moment, also felt a little impatient and could not help but quietly grasp his weapon. If he was not well protected, everyone would start fighting in the next second. The expressions of the other bodyguards present were even more like mourning. If the rich man Wright fell out with Liku on the spot, then they would definitely be affected. After all, they are now nominally the bodyguards of this manor. If they do not fight with Liku, once this matter is spread, they will never be able to mix in this circle in the future. Their careers are equivalent to being completely ruined. But if they fight with Liku, Xiachimano is a lesson. Even the professional hunter died, and they are even more. DB. Wright's mouth couldn't help but twitch fiercely. An array of fierce light flashed in his eyes. Everyone only thinks that he is a top tycoon, but don't forget that he has another identity as a gangster boss. With his daughter's ability to predict the future, he is a boss second only to the 10 elders in the gang world. Of course, he himself is just an ordinary person, but the power he holds is amazing. 20 billion is not a very amazing amount of money for him, but this price is indeed very exaggerated. Haha, Mr. Like, 20 billion is already too much higher than a market price. I need to see the value. After all, Wright has been a gangster for so many years and naturally knows the importance of his choice now. Once the wrong choice is made, this security captain is very likely to become a robber who breaks into the house. He needs to think carefully, and according to the former Captain Dizoni, I am afraid that no one present can check and balance this guy. Once the other party turns against him, all these bodyguards present will die, and then he will not be able to attend this auction at all. Even this action will be very unsafe. So he forced himself to suppress his inner anger and tried to make his expression look more kind. 20 billion to ensure that you will not die, and your daughter Wang and I will not die. Lika said calmly. Wright's face suddenly changed because his daughter has always been a hidden secret, and few people know that his daughter is a famous minister. It's not that he loves his daughter so much, but because of his daughter's ability, he can predict the future so that he can grow step by step and have the current power and status. It can be said that everything he has now is because of his daughter. Once his daughter dies or her ability disappears, then everything he has will be like a flash in the pan, and the castle in the air will collapse. The other party can call out his daughter's name so clearly. Obviously, he came prepared. If nothing happens, you don't have to pay a penny. Before the other party could speak, Liku said calmly. As a time traveler, he naturally knew what would happen next in this city. 2 billion. To buy 2 lives? Worth it. GNI is not very valuable in this world. 2 billion is not very exaggerated. Okay, I promise Mr. Liku. 2 billion GNI. As long as any situation occurs, no matter what the result is, I will pay the money to the adults. In addition, I will pay 10 billion GNI to Mr. Liku first, even if it is to make friends. If you need my help in any trouble in the future, just ask Dizoni. You must follow Mr. Liku's arrangements and try your best to meet his requirements. Wright said resolutely. As expected of a gangster, he always makes the right choice at such a critical moment. He is still very courageous. He is willing to pay in advance, which is equivalent to buying an insurance for himself. Not bad. Yes, Zhou Tianxia. Dizoni nodded quickly. Being able to be in the same team with a strong man like Liku can be said to be a greater guarantee for his operation this time. But he was inexplicably worried. The bodyguard operation worth 20 billion even endangered the safety of the rich man's daughter. I am afraid that this auction will not go so smoothly. The video ends. The whole audience was a little quiet. Everyone looked at Liku, and they were full of awe at this moment. Even Karapika was also stunned. 20 billion genie, earned in less than a day. This is probably the fastest way to make money in the world. And they have to fight for their lives for just 20 or 30 million genie. Even this job is definitely high-paying in their eyes. Compared with Liku's, it's like picking up rags. Captain, let me tell you about this mission. This is the map of the city. At that time, we will take a special spacecraft to arrive at the Lingong Airport in Ukexin City, which will take about 35 hours, and then take a special plane to the hotel, which will take about 90 minutes. Dizoni stood beside Liku as a dog-headed military strategist, took out a high-definition map, and began to introduce this mission and related situations to everyone. Karapika hesitated. Just say what you want to say, Karapika. Liku smiled and said. He was the captain of the entire team and had absolute authority. After getting Liku's permission, Karapika asked in confusion, Deputy Captain Dizoni, although you have mentioned these relevant information, you have not told us who our opponent is so far. If we can know the specific situation of the opponent, we can make targeted arrangements. Raise the level of protection to a higher level. Dizoni was stunned. He was just about to teach Kurapika a lesson, but suddenly realized that his current identity was completely different. He immediately put on a friendly smile. In fact, everyone knows that the Nasra family, as a well-known mafia family, has offended many people. This time, there will be forces from all sides coming to the auction, and even we ourselves don't know which opponents there will be. But no matter who the opponent is, the only thing we have to do is to absolutely protect the boss's safety. DB, Karapika didn't expect this result, and the others were also a little surprised. This means that everyone is equivalent to waiting for all kinds of challenges without any vision. Blind vision defense work. It doesn't matter, since there is a designated protector. Everything else is a small problem. Liku said casually, his eyes swept over the people in front of him, with a smile on his lips. To be precise, it's Basho. The entry on this guy makes me very interested. As for Dazoni and Skavara, they are both noobs and have no interest at all. Feijia's entry has been taken care of. Basho's entry has been noticed by Liku before, but he has never had the opportunity to choose to start. So now, Basho, Liku suddenly spoke. Captain. Basho was stunned. This burly man in a vest was a little scared at the moment. He didn't understand why Liku suddenly called him. At least during this period of time, he was like an invisible man. He didn't show much, but he didn't attract Liku's attention. What is your ability? Liku asked. My ability is to be a wandering haiku. I can make haiku. According to the quality of the haiku, I can achieve the effect. Basho hurriedly explained. Just when Liku looked at him, he felt a lot of pressure. For example, the ancient pond, the sound of frogs jumping into the water. Basho demonstrated his ability on the spot. After he chanted this haiku, the original table actually heard the sound of frogs jumping into the water. Not bad. Liku smiled. Then let's have a duel. Name, Basho items. Wandering great haiku artist, double blue, realization talent, blue, close combat, blue, poetry, blue, etc. All blue. Standard elite monster items, but there are items that Liku wants. Basho couldn't hold it anymore after hearing this, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Isn't this equivalent to letting himself die? Basho said hurriedly. That's enough, Liku said. Basho was relieved after hearing this. Then I won't be polite. Basho wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and quickly began to recite a poem. Pick a banana leaf, hang one on a new pillar, and enjoy the bright sunshine in the thatched hut. Bang before he finished reciting his haiku, he was shocked to see that the organization had appeared in front of him, and then a simple snap of the fingers hit him. Bang Basho's recitation of the poem was interrupted directly, and the whole person flew backwards. But as both sides said, he was not injured but obviously defeated. Ding, you defeated Basho. 10% chance to automatically copy the target entry. Ding. The entry was copied successfully. Ding. Congratulations on obtaining Wandering Great Hygiene, Dual Blue, Realization Talent, Blue. Ding. You have Realization, Purple, Automatically Merge and Absorb. Realization Talent, Blue. Ding. You have Wandering Great Hygiene, Dual Blue, Realization, Purple. You automatically comprehend the exclusive entry, Realization Chanting. Purple. The sound of nature emerged in Liku's mind, and a lot of information poured in. Sure enough, my guess turned out to be true. Because of the previous understanding of Thunder Beast, multiple small 5 elements clones, and other abilities, Jiku realized a possibility. That is, he may create a new entry by integrating many entries in this Hunter world, including some of the entries that look ordinary, but as long as they are properly integrated, new entries may appear. I just wanted to try it, but I didn't expect it to come true. Item: Manifest Chanting Purple Effect. According to the spell you chant, the desired effect will be manifested to a certain extent. The explanation of this ability is very simple. But as the owner, Liku understands that this almost gives him the ability to create. The specific effect needs to be tried again. Captain, you are too strong. I'm not your opponent at all. Basho was still frightened and finally smiled on his face with cold sweat. At least his life was saved. But Liku looked forward. He hummed his mouth. The king, the mask of flesh and blood, the myriad things flapping their wings, the things named after humans, scorching heat and disputes, the surging waves on the sea, go south, raised his hand. Then in the astonished eyes of everyone, a ball of extremely hot flame appeared in front of Liku, and it blasted away like a cannonball. The entire wall behind Basho disappeared completely. Perfect. This is not the effect of the fire telekinesis that Liku obtained, but the real creation of the telekinesis that was chanted, Hunter version of the red fire cannon. The 31st red fire cannon of the Hado. Chapter 95, Special Qualities, Gold. Wing and I. Wow, so awesome. Bach. The people present were stunned, and Kurapika was even more shocked because he had been with Liku for such a long time. But this was the first time he saw G using such a strange ability. Compared to before, it was really much stronger. I didn't expect that Brother Ku's strength had improved again during this period. Kurapika exclaimed in his heart. Captain, with you here, this security operation will definitely go very smoothly. Dazoni smiled excitedly. Before this, he still had some grudges against Liku. Originally, he was the captain of the security team, but now he became the deputy captain, which of course made him unhappy. But after witnessing Liku's ability with his own eyes, he felt that his choice this time was definitely the most successful choice in his life. If such a terrorist attack just now fell on him, there would be absolutely no accidents, and he would probably not even have a corpse left. But now such a powerful existence has become his captain, which means that in this security operation, even if he encounters a very powerful enemy, he can resist. Moreover, if he could establish a good relationship with Liku, it would be like having an extra life-saving trump card. So Dazoni and the other players present looked at Liku with unprecedented awe. Basho was also stunned, and then exclaimed, "What a haiku! This is simply the best haiku I have ever heard in my life." His exaggerated, flattering expression made Fei Jie roll her eyes. This guy is so shameless that he flattered him on the spot. Lord Liku, it is my honor to be your subordinate. Fei Jie also expressed her opinion. Skavara and Melody also expressed their feelings about this. Not bad. Liku was in a good mood. After being obtained by himself, Basho's ability was actually integrated into the most ideal ability. Almost equivalent to, as long as any ability that knows the spell can be released through chanting, the specific effect will be determined by the situation of the sudden rain and its own performance in all aspects. There is naturally no problem with the low-level ghost path of the red fire cannon. I haven't tried the high-level ones, and I don't know about other spells, such as those that transform. Haha, I haven't tried them, so I don't know how they work. Okay, let's go and see the target we're going to protect this time. Liku waved his hand. This way, please, Captain. Dazoni's face was full of smiles, and he hurriedly led everyone to see the target of protection as a guide. This time, he was also protecting the so-called boss. A group of people walked through the magnificent corridor, and the dome with carved beams and painted buildings showed the wealth of this wealthy man. Halfway through the corridor, they suddenly saw a three-dimensional mural. To be precise, it was a person with a terrified expression who seemed to want to escape. His head and limbs were fixed in the mural, and it looked like a person just floated out of the water. What is that? Kurapika's eyes changed slightly, and he couldn't help but speak because the person in the mural was too real. The other team members also had horrified expressions. Liku looked at him curiously. Dazoni hurriedly explained, "Captain, that guy is called Shiomu, a former colleague. Because he didn't listen to my advice before, he believed the enemy's intelligence and made assumptions without authorization. The enemy not only discredited the defense team, but also put the boss in a deep crisis. That's why he suffered such a punishment. If you think it's inappropriate, I'll take it down." "No, it's fine," Liku said lightly. "Let's go and see our target." Dazoni was even more frightened and broke into a cold sweat. He now regretted hanging this thing here. Originally, he planned to use this thing as a warning to the new members, so that they would know that the consequences of not obeying his orders would be so miserable. But now the identity and status have completely changed because the captain has become Liku. Doesn't this mean that if other team members, including himself, do not obey Liku's arrangements, they will also end up like this? When Dazoni thought of this, he felt a chill on his back. "Sir, the captain has asked us for it." Dazoni went and knocked on the door. "Please come in." A voice came from inside the door. The door was slowly opened, and it was opened by a middle-aged maid. There were layers of curtains in front of him, and a figure could be vaguely seen at the end. "Sir, I am Dazoni, the deputy captain of the security team. Our people have arrived. Please let our people meet you and protect you when it is convenient. If you have any other requests, You can also speak up. Dazoni walked forward and said respectfully. He knew that the person in front of him was his financial sponsor and the core figure of the Nasla gang. There was silence for a while, and finally agreed. Captain, please. Dazoni was extremely respectful and led everyone forward. When Liku and everyone walked to the front, they finally saw the target person in front of them clearly. Of course, it was a girl with blue hair, not to mention she was pretty. The other party also looked at them curiously with wide eyes. His face looks pretty good. Does help me take his face off? I want to keep it. The girl suddenly pointed at Liku and said, Damn it. Hearing this, everyone's face changed instantly. Dezwo was more like a deceased parent and almost cried on the spot. Damn it. I must have been wrong to accept such a task. This is too damn life-threatening. You actually let me take action against this big bad guy? Annie Ward, can you take a good look at who is standing in front of you? Miss, this is a 2-star professional hunter. She promised the boss sure to do this. Dazoni's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and he quickly explained. He didn't even dare to look at Li Ku's expression, for fear that this ruthless man who killed a professional hunter with a little move would take action against him. Although he thought that his strength was much stronger than that unlucky guy Syakumono, if he took action with Liku, he felt that he would not be able to pass the level even if he had 30 lives. Pa the sound of a crisp slap. Before everyone reacted, Liku had slowly walked in front of the girl and raised his big hand generously. He gave her a solid slap. The clear palm print fell on the face of the beautiful girl, and the spoiled girl was stunned on the spot. As the daughter of a gangster, it was her ability that made right Nasla he reached the peak of his life, so he almost granted his precious daughter's request. In addition, she grew up in the gang and was accustomed to killing people, which made her like to collect human bodies/parts. No one dared to directly target her or refute her, because those who expressed their views or refuted her had already become corpses. It could be said that Wang Mi's world is all smooth sailing. No matter what kind of excessive request she made, the gangster father would fulfill it for her. But now, Wen I was dumbfounded. Liku had a faint smile on his lips. He clearly saw the other party's entry in his field of vision. This is why he wanted to join the rich man security team, in order to see the legendary very good ability entries. If you kill by force, the probability of obtaining is also very high. But Liku does not think that he needs to become a puppet of the system in this way, and kill by force to obtain these things. At least under this premise, he is still a normal human being with normal emotions. Now, it is more like playing the human world, and he who has the world's first combat power is more casual and calm. The other party's information automatically appeared in Liku's vision. Name, Weni Nasra entry. Special talent, gold. Angel's automatic note, gold. Human body collector, purple. Sadism, purple. Loneliness, purple, etc. Huh. The system has not prompted yet? Liku frowned slightly. Then he slapped him again with his backhand. Huh. This time, everyone present was even more confused. Dazoni was so scared that his heart was about to jump out. Not only him, but also several other team members were also extremely frightened at this moment. Perhaps only Kurapika has a calmer mentality, because Light Nasla is a real gangster boss. What this guy did was burning, killing, looting, and doing all kinds of evil, even worse than these. Even if their strength is not bad, they're still not enough in front of the gangsters. Now Liku's actions have definitely offended Lasla and even the entire family of the other party. Once it is known, he will inevitably suffer a thunderous revenge. Dazoni now really hopes that what he has done is just a nightmare, and everything will be normal when he wakes up. Now, no matter which side he stands on, it will definitely be very ugly. Is he ready to accept the anger of the gangsters, or protect the young lady here? Then he will be killed by Liku on the spot. Any choice will cost him his life. Crazy, too crazy. Fei Jia was dumbfounded. She suddenly felt that she seemed to be good at slapping him once, and the young lady in front of her was slapped twice. The other party seemed to be stunned, because from the beginning to the end, no one dared to refute her ideas, but now someone wanted to do something to her, and there was a burning pain on her face. This feeling is very wonderful. Let Wing and I, actually like inexplicable happiness, even inexplicable excitement. Headache. The masochistic entry is a bit troublesome. Try again. Liku was helpless. This monster just didn't enter the battle posture, so that the copy effect of this entry could not be triggered. Papa. Liku was not polite and directly grabbed Wang Yan'ai and attacked her left and right. A woman who wants to treat her face as a collection as soon as she meets, although you can say she is innocent, but this one is indeed a little crooked. I just corrected it for her. Isn't it good? So, everyone present was stunned. Dazoni was already trembling all over. His heart was beating wildly, and he wanted to kneel down and kowtow hard, begging Liku to let the young lady go. But his legs were shaking so badly that he didn't know what to do. It was completely messed up. He had never dreamed that this would happen. Which side should he help now? Oh, Phagia, Shinluo, Skawara, Kurapika, and others were also stunned. Lee Keegan was too fierce. They even saw with their own eyes that the young lady's face was beaten into a pig's head, and there was even blood at the corner of her mouth. The maid next to her reacted and screamed in fear, wanting to report the news. Bang Krapika rushed forward and stabbed the other party with a knife, causing the other party to lie on the ground and faint. Seeing this scene, Dazoni was now extremely miserable. He felt like he was being roasted on the fire. He wanted to speak, but he didn't know how to say it, because the words that the young lady said at the beginning were indeed too much. According to the young lady's past character, since she said this, she will definitely do this. If an ordinary person appeared in front of the contestants, then 100% of the opponent's face would be torn off and regarded as a collection of this young lady. But you have to know that the one who appeared here now is this super fierce man. Deizo is so annoying. Ding. You and Winnie Nasla have entered the battle posture. The system prompt sounded like the sound of nature in Liku's mind. Finally, it's okay. These NPC triggers are troublesome. Liku couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Because Wang Yan'ai has a masochistic entry, she was almost wet because of the masochism, plus she was powerless and had no concept of fighting. She even thought that being slapped by Liku was a kind of love. It was really quite perverted. But finally, when she was about to be beaten to death, her body finally resisted and was judged by the system as entering a fighting posture. Then, bang, a solid little punch. In the eyes of everyone who was about to drop their eyes, the former Captain Dazoni felt that his heart was about to jump out. Everyone watched this high and mighty lady being punched by Liku like a sandbag and flew to the bed. She fainted on the spot. Jing! The whole audience gasped in unison, and everyone's face turned pale. Everyone, I feel that I am completely finished. I dare not imagine how furious Light Nasla, the boss behind the scenes, would be if he saw this scene with his own eyes. I am afraid that the entire gang would be wanted for everyone. Then there would be no corpses left. It's over. It's completely over now. This time, not only the former Captain Dazoni, but even the other bodyguards present had extremely ugly expressions. But Liku still had a smile on his face, and now he was smiling even happier. Ding! You defeated Winnie Nasla. Ding! 10% probability of automatically copying the opponent's entry. Ding! Copy failed, ding! Lucky star effect burst. Forcibly specify the target entry to copy, ding! Congratulations on obtaining special telekinesis talent, gold, ding! The target's next battle cooldown time is 3 days. A sound like the sound of nature rang in Liku's mind. Chapter 96. Phantom True Perfect. In the dark, countless energies flowed into Liku's limbs and bones, and there was also some related non-information. Speciality system. The most special category of telekinesis. It can be said that anything that cannot be classified into other categories can be classified into this category. For example, Ani's angel notes, Kralo's thieves book, Pakunita's memory bullets, and Aluka's realization, etc. It is a very special and rare category in the hunter world. This Miss Ani did not disappoint me, and really gave me the talent I wanted most. Telekinesis talent. This thing is like a business license. With talent, you can activate angel notes and other abilities, which is the basis of this series of abilities. If you simply copy the angel notes entry, but there is no special telekinesis talent, it will also lead to inability to use it. But now it's different. I've already obtained the foundation of the underlying building, so the rest is just a matter of time. And if the system prompts, this poor lady will be able to refresh in 3 days. This refresh speed is still a bit incredible for Liku. It is probably because the opponent has no combat power, so the cooldown time is very short after the entry is spawned. A perfect wild monster with rich drops. Liku is in a very good mood. BL. Fuck. Dazoni's expression is even uglier than crying, and his legs are shaking. Even if he boasts that he is very strong, once he suffers revenge from the Nasra family's gangsters, it is simply unimaginable. He even feels that he will be exposed on the street tomorrow, or he will die under Liku's fist now. It's nothing. I just dredged the meridians of this young lady, and she should be much better now, Liku said lightly. Hearing this, Dazashiki almost became expensive. Listen, is this what people say? Is this what people say? What does it mean to dredge the meridians? Now the whole face of this young lady has been beaten into a pig's head, and even the young lady's father will definitely not recognize her, and may even suspect that they have swapped people. Ward's father, you can't let yourself down like this. It's over. Kurapika was also a little worried. Although he joined the team for this action, he was more worried about Liku's safety than these. Because once this matter is exposed, it will definitely offend the entire Nasla family gang. At that time, they will be greeted with overwhelming revenge. What the captain said is true. This should just dredge the meridians. The bald girl with rabbit teeth suddenly spoke and explained. It is hard to imagine that such an ugly person can say such soft and sweet words, which is simply a debate between two people. Because Melody clearly heard Liku's heartbeat, there was no fluctuation from beginning to end, which means that the other party thought that beating Wang and I was justified, and there was no inner pressure. There are only two explanations for this situation. One is, as Liku said, the purpose of doing this is generally to dredge the meridians of the other party. The other is that Liku has absolute confidence to deal with the revenge of the entire Nasla family gang. No matter which one it is under Liku's control. So Melody suddenly believed Liku inexplicably. Fei Jie and the black guy were both very scared. Then, maybe it's probably like this. Then, Captain, how long will it take for the lady to wake up? Dazoni's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and he spoke with difficulty. When it's time to wake up, you will wake up, Liku said indifferently. Okay, if there's nothing else, let's go outside to drink some tea and rest. After that, Liku left. Kurapika took a look, and everyone turned around and left. Then Melody, and then the others also chose to leave. Only Dazoni, who was responsible for cleaning up the mess, was left. This guy now had the word miserable written all over his face. He returned to the hall to rest, and even the servants brought the most expensive coffee, but Liku didn't like it. He preferred to drink tea. Dazoni, who had settled the eldest lady, didn't dare to say anything and sat aside with a bitter face. Liku was slow, drinking tea and browsing the internet. He received a message from Gon asking about the Greed Island. Oh, it seems that Gon and the others have found the game cards left by Jean. I don't know if my ability to copy entries is effective in that game world, but I still have to go in and take a look. According to the current auction price, the auction price of each card of this game will be around 10 billion. It seems that I have to make some extra money at this auction. Liku had a faint smile on his face. If nothing unexpected happens, the Phantom Troop will come to hijack the auction, and naturally the lost items will be attributed to them. A lot of things will be lost at the auction. It was the Phantom Troop who robbed it. What does it have to do with me? Liku, I am the captain of the bodyguards. Liku smiled. 3 days later, the Ukexin Fantasy Auction, the world's largest annual auction venue, officially kicked off. This is the largest and highest level auction in the Hunter world. In just 10 days, tens of trillions of funds will flow through the public auction alone. And in this auction, some things that may be bought for 10,000 yuan will be sold for 100 million today. It is the hope of countless people to completely turn over or even become rich overnight. More importantly, among the tens of thousands of auctions, many auctions only auction items related to crime. From the day the auction started, the entire Ukexin city entered an unprecedented state of prosperity. Because it is not only the residents in the city, but also people from all over the world who come here specifically for the auction. Wow, it's so lively. It deserves to be the largest auction in the world. Gon, is there any news from Brother Ku, Kurapika, and Liurio? Along the way, Killua and Gon have arrived in the city, and looking at these lively vendors along the way, they can't help but sigh. Liurio said that if he arrived in Kurapika this afternoon, he would have arrived before. I heard that he worked with Brother Ku, but he said he would call us when he had time. By the way, Brother Ku said he has no news about Greed Island for the time being, but he will find a way to help us find a game card. He asked us to walk around the city first. Gon looked left and right, quite excited. By the way, Gon, you should also buy a mobile phone. This is necessary as a professional lover. Okay. Wow. There are mobile phones for sale over there. The two ran directly to a mobile phone vendor to choose which one is suitable. Just then, a familiar voice was suddenly heard. Hi, everyone. The two looked back and saw a familiar figure, Liurio. This guy was still dressed in a suit and carrying a suitcase as before. He looked like a social elite. Boss, you sold this phone for 400,000. This is too expensive. How about rounding it off and selling it for 40,000? 40,000. And of course, Liurio started a bargain for Gon. Both of them were stunned, because the two were about to pay the boss directly, but they didn't expect Liurio to help bargain directly, and bought the phone from 400,000 yuan to just over 40,000 yuan. He was simply a real bargaining master. This skill amazed the two people. At least for them, they didn't have much concept of the enterprise and didn't know how to bargain at all. By the way, have you learned to read? Liurio pushed his glasses and showed a cool side face expression. He couldn't help but want to show off in front of his friends. He was lucky to learn telekinesis, and he found that this ability was also very good. It even gave him an illusion that he was almost as powerful as Li Ku at the beginning. But after hearing that Gon and Killua had also learned telekinesis, Liurio was a little confused. You said that you would let me show off alone. Why are you two secretly working hard? Just when the three met. When he had dressed up and was ready to leave. Where is Lord Like? Wang and I suddenly blushed and asked Fei Jie beside her. The maid had been settled by Dazoni, so he asked Fei Jie to come and take care of Wang and I. The captain is outside. Fei Jie was a little stunned because she couldn't understand why Wang and I was beaten like a pig by Li Ku last time, but she didn't expect that after waking up, she not only had no anger towards Li Ku, but also had a special liking for him. She often asked where Li Ku was, hoping that Li Ku could come to accompany him, especially when he felt unsafe at night. But Li Ku didn't have the heart to protect this kind of NPC. He came here just to brush the entries, just a side thing. So it was impossible for her to agree to continue to live her life there happily. After being rejected several times, Wen I was even more eager to see Li Ku. Okay, I'll go ask Captain T. Fei Jie had no choice but to speak. She knew that she had to handle this matter well, otherwise she would have a lot of troubles at that time. But just when she turned around and was about to go out, she heard a familiar voice behind her. Okay, it's almost time. We should leave here today. It was Captain Li Ku. Everyone saw Li Ku walk directly towards the eldest lady. Li Ku glanced at the other person's head. Brushable entries cooled down very good. Too lazy to talk. He went up and gave Wang and I a slap in the face. Then he beat her back and forth. Wang and I was so excited that she almost fainted and was wet. Ding, you defeated Wang and I Nasra in a fighting posture. Ding, 10% automatic copying started. Copying successfully. Ding, congratulations on getting Angel's automatic notes gold, people, human body collector, purple. Ding, detected that the host hates the collector entry. Automatically crushed, human body collector. Turn into experience points to fill. Angel's automatic notes gold. The progress of this entry has been improved. Next cooldown time 132 days. A voice like heavenly sounded in the organization's mind. A large amount of information poured into Li Ku's mind. He directly gained an additional ability of Wang and I. That is, he can make predictions for a specific object in the form of abstract poetry for the next month, which is presented in 4 sections. Each section corresponds to a week of the future. To activate the ability, you need the name, birthday, and blood type of the person you are predicting. If the user cannot see the person in person when predicting, a photo of the person will be needed. It's okay. It's indeed an okay entry. To be honest, as a time traveler, I don't care about predicting the future. Because traveling is a heaven-defying thing. The future will inevitably be changed. So there is no need to believe in the nonsense of predicting the future. The future entrepreneurs predicted by the other party are fully capable of making changes. It's just that since he came to this world, Liku is naturally curious about this strange beauty. It's good to have more skills. It's not bad to have one more ability. What's more, if nothing goes wrong, this ability will be copied by Krallo. But now there is an accident. If Liku is present, the other party wants to copy the main, and this ability is almost the same as a fairy tale. This thing is like a nuclear bomb. You cannot use it, but you must have it. Maybe this entry will be combined with other entries in the future to produce an unprecedented, wonderful combination. Perfect, not bad. Liku is very satisfied. The other team members who saw this scene were completely numb. Although they didn't know why Liku did this, no one dared to disobey Liku's approach. And this time, Liku's control of the strength was just right. At least it wouldn't make the young lady look like a pig. The other party even looked at Liku with blurred eyes. How do you feel? Wang and I. Liku asked casually. It feels great. Captain Liku, you must protect me well. Wang and I will listen to you in everything. Okay, pack up 1.8 things, let's go. Liku gave an order, and Dazoni finally breathed a sigh of relief. The group packed up their things and got on the car to go out. In the car, Dazoni asked awkwardly, saying that according to the arrangement of Boss Light, he needed to let Wang Ni make some predictions. It was about the future of other gangsters. In fact, it was by relying on the means of accurately predicting other bosses that Wang Ni climbed up to this position step by step for me and secured the identity of the same gangster. Humph. Dad didn't fulfill the promise he promised me last time. I don't want it. Wang Ni was a little angry and pouted. BLK. Dazoni looked ugly. Wang Ni, do as Dazoni ordered. Don't make trouble. Lika glanced at her and said. Hearing Liku's words, the young lady suddenly became like a female licker. So clever. Yeah. I'll listen to Master Liku. I will do whatever the master tells me to do, as long as the master remembers to beat me. Wang and I blushed. Liku just wanted to see the effect of the other party using this ability. Soon, after being told some necessary information, Wang and I started writing furiously. Liku clearly saw a strange pen appear in the other party's hand, as if the pen was controlling the person, not the person controlling the pen. Soon, the prophecy poem was written out, and it was indeed the kind of hazy poem because of interest. After being checked by Liku, Dazoni was careful and said these poems as if he had been pardoned. This was a task he had completed. At the same time, on the side of the suburban highway, the people of Phantom Troop have gathered again. Chapter 97, Sonata of Darkness, Gray. It's been so many years since we've been together. Nobunaga's side, 3 years and 2 months, but this time there are a few new people. Phaeton narrowed his eyes. Number 4 and number 8. Maki said, but number 4 may be late. Just a defeated general. After completing this task, kick that guy out of the team. The big guy Franklin said in a muffled voice. His earlobes, hanging with earrings, almost fell to his shoulders. It's best if he doesn't come. I hate this guy. I really don't understand why the captain keeps him. Compared to this guy, I'm more curious about Ulquiorra and Aizen. I really hope to fight with those 2 guys. Phaeton's worst point on the road is his pocket, and his collar covers half of his cheek. Maki said, if we really fight, I don't think you will be interested. I hate dealing with dangerous guys the most. I don't know what the captain wants me to steal this time. I think it's an ancient book or something. The captain likes reading books very much. No, I think it's a game. Game? There are several of the most expensive games in the world at the auction, and they are also the most dangerous games in the world. I am also interested. Phaeton smiled and said, thinking for a while, no matter what the leader wants us to take away, we will clear out everything and take it away directly. The 2 talked, and Nobunaga and Franklin had already started fighting behind them. These 2 guys are fighting maniacs and often fight together after meeting, and in the ruins not far ahead. Krallo and others have also arrived. After he announced the goal of this operation, everyone was surprised, because the goal of this operation was to loot the entire auction, which seemed to be no different from what Phaeton expected. Leader, are you serious? The underground auction gathers gangster organizations from all over the world. If we do this, it is equivalent to going against the underworld in the world. Yuvajin, a man as strong and sturdy as a brown bear, couldn't help but say, "What's wrong? Did you crawl?" 17 Krallo, who had a handsome face, smiled. "No, I'm so happy. Captain, give the order." Yuvajin's expression suddenly became unusually excited and ferocious, and even saliva flowed from his teeth. He could no longer suppress his inner impulse to fight. "Now, I order you to kill them all." Krallo smiled and ordered. "Great. Ha ha ha. Anyone who stands in my way will die." Yuvajin laughed wildly. Others in the brigade present also shouted excitedly. In the 5-star hotel, all the people have been settled, and Miss Wang Ni has even ordered Fei Jie to take care of them. Dazoni reported his work to his boss right, because only he knew about the things before, and Lika didn't know, so he was still responsible for this aspect, such as providing prophecy poems to other gangsters. He reported these things over the phone. Everything will increase in value. The basement will become your place to sleep. You cannot go down the stairs that you have not climbed up, and you cannot compete with others for numbers. This is the result of Wang Ni's divination. Sleep is related to death, which is the experience gained in the past. Therefore, he must explain it clearly to the boss. It is very likely that there will be major problems in this auction, so before that, he must first give the boss a shot of prevention. Liku doesn't care much about these things. Anyway, what Liku is focusing on now is to fight against the enemy with the generals and cover the water with the earth. All the schemes and strategies pale in the face of absolute power. Strategies are only for the weak to consider. When your strength is enough to overthrow all obstacles, you don't need to consider how to get out of trouble. The simplest way is to rush straight ahead. For example, when a weak person sees a stone, he will think about how to move the stone away. He'll consider asking for help or choosing other methods such as excavators. But for a strong person, such as Liku, the first thought when encountering the same trouble is just to kick the other party away. It's that simple. In addition, boss, Captain Liko asked me to take him to see the arrangement of the venue, so as to protect the safety of the young lady in the venue. One is when Ye said cautiously. Because this matter was raised by Liku in the car, the so-called excuse was that he hoped to better understand the environment and protect the young lady. There was a silence on the other end of the phone, and finally a reply was given, "I will contact the auction. You can take Liku to check it out, but don't have any other ideas." "Understood. Don't worry, Nibbin," Dazoni said hurriedly. "Captain, things are done. Let's go to the auction." Dazoni said to Liku with a smile on his face. He didn't dare to directly refuse any request from Liku. Now that the boss has agreed, it is definitely good news for him. The time they spend alone will definitely enhance the relationship between the two. And this time, there are some problems in the verses of the eldest lady's fable, which is very likely to suffer turmoil in this auction. This makes him, as the former captain, a little worried. If you can get along with Liku as soon as possible at this time, you will definitely be able to greatly improve your mission success rate in this auction. Let's go. Karapika, you are in charge here. Like ordered. Understood, Digeo. Karapika readily agreed. He was absolutely obedient to Liku. Soon, like Faloo Dazoni and the two of them around the auction venue. Because of their identities as members of the Latrasla Mafia family, they were able to move freely. In addition, Dazoni was a well-known bodyguard in this city. Many bodyguards knew him, and even let him pass through some places that needed to be checked. "Sir, this is where the vault of the entire auction is." "Look," Dazni wanted to say, "Look, let's not go there. It's a sensitive place." Although the Nasla family is also a shareholder behind the auction, it is only one of the shareholders after all, and there are other mafia holding shares. There is no need to go to that kind of place. Since it is a very important place, we should also go and take a look. Like said lightly, isn't it for this big vault that I came here to find this job? And when the time comes, I will throw the blame directly to the guys who came to rob. They are a group of account-settling saints. Dazoni's mouth twitched, and his head couldn't help but think of the mural he had painted. If he disobeyed Li Ke's order, he would probably end up in the same situation. So he had no choice at all and went to the vault with Li Jing. Stop. This is the auction vault. No one is allowed to approach. But they didn't go far, and they were stopped when the vault was still some distance away. We are the bodyguards of the Nasra family. I am Dazoni. Dazoni showed his identity. It must be said that this identity is still there. At least it allowed the two to move forward a few more checkpoints. But in fact, there are more than a dozen checkpoints in front of the entire vault. However, in the last few passages, they still didn't let the two in, because even a Nasra family couldn't enter alone without the promise of other gang members and bosses. Dazoni's expression was very ugly now, and he almost knelt down to beg this colleague who was guarding the door. Okay, let's stop here. I almost understand. At this time, Li Ke's words were like the sound of nature and instantly saved Dazoni. Let's go back. Li Ke spoke calmly and left directly. However, no one noticed that after Li Ke left, several tiny lightning mosquitoes appeared, almost imperceptible, quietly lying in the corner, and some even got into the keyhole. Now Li Ke's control over the Thunder Beast has increased to more than 30 kilometers. Not to mention a mere vault, it can cover most of the city. He just came here to put an eye. When the auction starts, he will be here to meet the robbers as soon as they come in and buy everything at the bottom and leave them an empty shell. Then, as the Nasra family, he will directly arrest those guys and let them take the blame until they die. Perfect. Comfortable. Dazoni finally breathed a sigh of relief. He finally served this evil star. In addition to a few people, there are also several security personnel who have been prepared. They're like trash. Li Ke is too lazy to take a second look. He used Dazoni's method directly, but just changed the security division map. As some favors for his obedience, Bajao, Fejia, and Squara were arranged at the back door. A few cannon fodders and Dazoni were responsible for the auction venue. He, Karapika, and Melody were responsible for the front door, because the front door can lead to the observation deck, the farthest view, and can see the fish eating the bait with your own eyes. Dazoni almost cried when he heard this arrangement. The auction venue is definitely the most dangerous place, although he had already realized this before. But now that he knew about the predictions made by the eldest lady, he was a little uneasy. Originally, he was still hoping to get close to Li Ke, but now it seems that he still has to be on his own. Instead, Li Ke chose the front door, which has a relatively low risk factor. Even though he was bitter, like a dumb person eating coptis, Dazoni couldn't say a word. Don't worry. In return for calling me captain for a while, I will ensure that you can all survive. Li Ke glanced at a few people and reported calmly. That's great. Captain. Hearing this, Dazoji was so moved that he almost cried. He finally heard the sentence he wanted to hear the most. Although Li Ke rarely made such promises, he still believed in the credibility of this sentence for such a powerful person to make such a promise. It's true. I just don't know why you were so sure. Melody heard Li Ke's heartbeat and confirmed the truth of this matter, but she was a little confused. Fei Jia, the black guy, and Ba Jiao were also moved. Okay, go according to your own arrangements. If there are any problems, contact me directly through the intercom. If you can't even use the intercom and are solved, then you can only blame yourself for not having the strength to take on this mission. Li Ke said lightly. Bach! Everyone dispersed. Even without his own beasts, they can act according to Li Ke's settings. On the roof of the auction building, the starry sky is bright, and the whole city is extremely prosperous under the lights. Li Ke, Karapika, and the bald girl are standing on the balcony. The reason for choosing this opportunity is that Li Ke also took a fancy to the bald girl's entry. The other party has an interesting entry. Name, Melody entry. Transmuter talent, double blue. Hell's Ear, blue. Sound Hunter, blue. Dark Sonata cursor, gray, etc. Melody has a gray entry. This is the first time Li Ke has seen an entry that is very strange. But according to the information of this entry, it is very likely that this is a cursed entry. If it is copied, will I be cursed as well? System, curse status entry. If copied, will I state the curse? Li Ke asked inwardly. No, all negative entries will be filtered by the system for you. Please work quickly, okay? You can eat it with confidence. Big. Do you have any other arrangements for me to come to the front door? Melody looked at Liku nervously. Although she could hear Liku's heartbeat, she still felt great psychological pressure to get along with Liku. Are you cursed? Liku got straight to the point. Captain, it's true. You can actually see it. Melody was very surprised, and then she explained in detail why she became like this. The reason was that she heard a dark sonata flute a long time ago, played by a friend, and that friend was completely dead. After listening to this song, Melody, who was originally a beautiful girl, turned into this ugly appearance. In return, she lost her healthy body, but gained this strange ability. Oh, so this song seems to have a special effect of awakening people's abilities, but the price is indeed a bit high. Liku rubbed his chin, and the other party's explanation made him brighten his eyes. It seems that in this hunter world, there are still many areas that he has not explored. Even if he has watched related anime in his previous life, he has not understood all the information. Try to attack me with your greatest ability. Liku said. Hearing this, Melody was stunned, but after repeated confirmation, Liku still asked so, and she had to do it according to the request. Then the battle ended very quickly. Ding. You defeated Melody, ding. 10% probability of automatic copying. Ding. Copying successfully. Chapter 98. Packing in advance. Thank you, congratulations on successfully copying the entry. Ear of Hell, blue. Sonata of Darkness, gray, ding. You have Super Intuition red, Super 5 Senses gold, Ear of Hell, blue. Automatically crushed and absorbed, ding. Sonata of Darkness, gray is a curse entry. You can choose to keep it without using it, or crush it. Keeping this entry will cause you to be noticed by an unknown existence. Please choose. The system prompt sounded like the sound of nature in the organization's mind. Keep it. Liku just thought about it for a while and made a choice directly. This special type of curse entry is the first time I've seen it. And once you have this entry, you will be noticed by the existence of the location, which is really a bit unexpected. But seeing the melody in front of you, you must be able to infer some information, even if the so-called unknown existence must not have the strength to cross time and space to reach you. Otherwise, the melody would not be alive. In other words, even if the other party crosses over, it will not get any benefit in front of you. But in fact, this does not prevent Liku from treating this entry as a special medium, or the key to a brand new dungeon. The unknown is always fascinating. Maybe when I get interested one day, I can sense the other party's existence through this entry and enter a new dungeon. Melody looked at Liku with some awe. She knew that she would definitely lose, but it was totally unexpected that she defeated Liku so quickly. Liku's speed was too fast, and there was no chance for her to react. The two were not players of the same level at all. Not only her, but even Kurapika, who was standing by, did not see Liku's specific actions clearly. I can try to remove your curse, but I can't guarantee that I can do it. Liku suddenly spoke. His words instantly made Melody's glasses shine, and she even trembled with excitement. If this sentence was said by anyone else, Melody would definitely not believe it, because after being cursed by this dark sonata, she had looked for many people, even some strong people who also had none. But the other party said that they were powerless to do anything about the curse on her. Even if there were some who said they could do it, they were finally found to be just some liars. But this sentence came from Liku's mouth, and Melody had awe and trust in Liku from the bottom of her heart. The other party's strength far exceeded her own. If he really wanted to do something bad to her, there was no need to beat around the bush like this. It doesn't matter, Captain. If you're interested in the curse on me, you can cast it at will, but you must be careful, because I became like this after listening to the performance of this flute. I hope these things on me will not affect you. Melody was a little worried. She was not worried about herself, but about Jike. She had realized that she was almost hopeless, and her biggest goal in life was to find a way to crack this thing. Close your eyes, like said, and his hand was placed on the other's forehead. Melody closed her eyes nervously. She was already desperate, and her mood was a little turbulent at this moment. If anyone else told her that there was hope to lift her curse, she would naturally not believe it. But the person in front of her was Liku, and she still had a strong desire in her heart. Krapika also opened her eyes curiously. According to the order of Yado God, purify your soul, abandon your insincerity, drive away the filth, return the mortal heart to nothingness, clear, straightforward, upright soul to pray for the soul to be cut, to pay for your sins, before Like began to chant. This is a chanting spell from an anime he has watched. Like, who has the ability to chant and materialize, can directly limit the effect through the limitation of the spell and the idea in his mind. But the specific effect will be determined according to various factors. In Kurapika's astonished eyes, a strange hexagram magic circle appeared under Melody's feet. Then her body was shrouded in a faint green light. Feeling extremely comfortable all over her body, as if she was soaking in a hot spring, Melody couldn't help but open her eyes, and then was surprised to see the green light surrounding her body. At this moment, Liku fell into Melody's eyes like a god. The other party is saving himself, just like God is blessing mortals. At this moment, these thoughts came up automatically without any reason. Melody, Kurapika suddenly exclaimed. Her voice made Melody tremble, and then she was surprised to see that her body began to change. The originally bald head quickly grew long hair, and the mouse-like face was also returning to normal. This sloppy little dwarf girl turned into a pretty and sweet girl with a tall figure. She was much more beautiful than a lady like Wang and sweet, pure, and stunning. Kurapika even looked a little dazed. She never dreamed that the ugly girl in her daily life would be so beautiful. If her eyes were one of the 7 most beautiful things in the world, then the girl in front of her was definitely a pearl of the world. My body. It was still a familiar voice, but at this moment the owner of this voice had become a very beautiful girl. Melody looked at her body in great surprise. Her slender, white, jade-like fingers, her tattooed skin, and her smooth black hair like silk. Everything seemed to be back. Tears could not help but roll from her eyes, and then flowed down. After being cursed by the dark Sonata, she didn't know how many sleepless nights she had, and how many nights she cried alone. She originally wanted to die, but the strength in her heart made her persist, wanting to find a way to get rid of everything. So even with such an ugly face, Melody still did not give up her inner dream. Even in the days after being cursed, her heart became stronger and stronger. She originally thought that she seemed to have no hope of returning to her original appearance in this life, but at least this was a path she wanted to pursue in her life. But now in front of Liku, the strange hexagram magic circle that Liku could not understand how he did it appeared, and then the curses on her body seemed to be expelled. Oh, you are very beautiful, Melody. Even Liku, as a time traveler, couldn't help but sigh. This ugliest dwarf bald girl Melody, after returning to her original appearance, turned out to be so beautiful. Thank you, Captain. Thank you so much. Melody was so moved that tears welled up in her eyes. She couldn't help but tiptoe to get close to Liku. She couldn't help but touch Liku's cheek lightly like a dragonfly touching the water. The soft pink lips have a faint sweet smell like cherry blossoms. It can be imagined that the girl in front of her must have been very popular before she was cursed, and she must have many suitors. It is also hard to imagine that such a beautiful girl would become an ugly monster, and then she would have to be strong in her heart to find a way to remove the curse. Melody, this is only a temporary removal. With my ability, I can't completely cure the curse on you. According to the current situation, it is likely to be suppressed for 12 hours, which means that after dawn, the suppressing force will disappear and you will return to your original appearance. But I set up a circulating telekinesis structure in your body, and you will return to your previous appearance at night. If you want to completely remove the curse, you may need to find a guy who cast a spell on you. Liku sighed. When using Norigami's spell, she felt the resistance in the other party's curse. If the guy who cast the curse source cannot be solved, this situation cannot be cured, and the suppression time can only be increased. That's good, Captain. This is a very good thing for me. Anyway, thank you so much, Captain. Melody's beautiful eyes sparkled as she looked at Liku's unprecedented excitement. Half of the time a day can be restored to the original appearance, which is a pleasant surprise for her. Even if she can only recover for 10 minutes a day, it is the greatest satisfaction in her life, and 12 hours is far beyond her expectations. In the future, she may only become a night princess. You are so beautiful, Melody. You should be the most beautiful girl I have ever seen. Kurapika praised generously. Okay, you stay here now. The auction seems to be about to start. Pay attention to the movements and be safe. 014501317 Faloo 133543571. Lika suddenly showed a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. For her, lifting the curse of Melody is just a small attempt at her ability. The ability to manifest the chanting purple is indeed very good. But now, it seems that those phantom troop guys have already mixed in with the guests, and the auction is about to begin. Lika slowly left the rooftop. His figure disappeared on the spot. Auction site. Rich nobles and strong men from all over the world gathered here because this is the top auction in the hunter world. Many precious things can be found here. Dazoni was patrolling the auction site with a grim face. This time, there are many more people participating in the auction than the last time, and the participants are basically well-known people in the organization. I even got some gang bosses to come to the venue in person. Captain, you must protect me. He was a little nervous, because Wang Ni's prophecy poem inferred that there might be some problems in this auction. Then, as the deputy captain, he must be the first to bear the brunt. Back door. Fei Jia and Bajiao were arranged here. Aren't these the bodyguards of the Nasra family? They really look like a bunch of trash, and they were actually arranged to hide in the back. Shoo, keep your voice down, you'll hear it. Several bodyguards who came to patrol couldn't help but complain. Being in charge of the back door is the most leisurely job and the one with the lowest risk factor. They are very envious. Fei Jia felt a little itchy when she went there. If she followed her past habits, she would directly use her ability to control the other party. But now, she felt that she needed to control her ability and even hated her ability a little because it needed kissing to work. The captain hated her because of this. If she was not like this, maybe the captain would be sure Fei Jia was a little confused. If you talk nonsense again this year, be careful that I will let the dogs bite you. Scavara waved a few hounds with a bad look. Bajiao also stared at these people. The patrolling bodyguards were frightened by the vicious dogs and retreated and fled. I don't know what the situation is with the captain. I hope this auction will be peaceful. Peace is impossible. There will be some troubles in this level of auction every year, but they are all under control. After all, many of the people who come here are gangsters, and some friction is inevitable. Several people were discussing, and at this moment, auction underground treasure house. A thin, good man walked in unimpeded. Sir, after seeing this man, the guards in charge here all gave way, because he is one of the most powerful beasts under the famous 10 old men. Well, keep watching here and open the door. The thin man raised his mouth slightly, looked at the guards with a condescending look, and then took out the token he carried with him. A black token with a big word written on it. Shao. This is also his name. The people of the 10 old men will understand everything when they see this. He is someone they can't afford to offend. Sure enough, after seeing this token in him, the guards present all changed their faces slightly and didn't dare to look at him at all, and trembled and gave way. Shao walked to the front of the vault unimpeded, and then took out of the key. In fact, after receiving the prophecy poem from Winnie yesterday, including Light Nasla, these gangsters all agreed that they should move all the things in the treasure house in advance, just in case. Because the prophecy poem said something bad. So Shao was arranged to come here. In fact, there will not be too many valuable things in this auction, because all the valuable things are in this treasure house and will be taken away by himself. Click! The 1-meter-thick vault door was slowly opened, and he walked in directly, and then ordered the guards to close the heavy vault door. This is a vault door forged from a special alloy. Even if Netero, who is known as the world's strongest, arrives, it will definitely not be a short time to break it. The security factor has definitely reached the highest level. But what Shao didn't notice was that a strange little mosquito fell on his clothes and followed him in. Chapter 99. The Magical Bag, Gold. Hisoka killed him. What a bunch of idiots. You actually want to attack our boss's auction. I will catch you all in one fell swoop. It's a pity that so many things are not mine. A bunch of damn old men. Looking at the dazzling array of treasures in front of him, Shao couldn't help complaining. The Yin Beast is the most powerful nun organization under the 10 old men. Every member is very powerful. Shao is the best among them. It's just that his ability is a little special. His own combat power may not be particularly outstanding, but his own ability is very special. Nen magical bag skin, realization ability. You can transform into a special bag, which is somewhat similar to the treasure bag in the novel. You can put everything in it, even living people, and the things put in will become smaller directly. So it is most appropriate to arrange him to come and pack up all the things in the treasure house and take them away. However, this way can not only conceal people's eyes and ears, but also be very convenient and will not attract the attention of others. Shao began to use his ability to pack up these things. Many good things made him jealous, but he knew very clearly that these were all the things of the gangsters. If he dared to take one more, he would definitely die in the wilderness tomorrow. All of them can only be viewed from a distance, not played with. Finally, after spending more than 10 minutes, all the things in the vault were packed up, and not even the dust on the ground was left. This made Shao couldn't help but sigh at his excellent ability. If anyone else came, he would definitely not be able to do it as beautifully as he did. Moving these things out will definitely attract the attention of many people, and if things go wrong, a fight will break out, but it will be completely different if he comes here. No one noticed, and it was absolutely silent. I'm so tired, but the boss said that he would give me a reward of 200 million this time. After finishing this job, I'll go find a few women to have fun. Let those be scream under me. Zhao's mouth was excited. Just as he turned around and prepared to leave, a strange voice suddenly came from behind him. Thank you for your hard work. If you can't hit the thing well, you can put it down and leave. This voice made Zhao's footsteps stop abruptly, and the whole person seemed to have pressed the pause button. The next moment, he directly turned around and whipped across, and the amazing force even made the air explode. But what made his pupils shrink was that the opponent directly pulled away, as if teleporting, perfectly avoiding his 0-5 attack. Your ability is very good, but your boxing and kicking skills are quite ordinary, and your own vigilance is also quite low. I really don't know what you gangsters think of choosing a weak chicken like you as a thug. The man shrugged, a little bored. It was the smiling clown who spoke. Hisoka, and he also showed his back openly, with a clear spider mark and the number 4 on it. The moment he saw this mark, Zhao's pupils suddenly shrank, the hair on his body stood up, and his eyes became very dangerous and vigilant. Phantom Troop. It was Phantom Troop. This group of guys are notorious wanted criminals. They do not follow any rules. No matter if they're gangsters or ordinary people, they will be killed if they offend this group of guys. So even among the gangs, their famous teachers are not very good. But they really look down on others. I am the leader of the Yin Beast. I was mocked by the other party and said that my fighting power is chicken. Do they really think that the Yin Beast is just for free? This is the most powerful organization of telekinetic users under the 10 elders. Zhao's expression became ferocious. If he catches this guy in front of him, and then finds all the people of Phantom Troop and kills them all, this should be considered a great achievement. By then, his reputation will surely resound throughout the city. Thinking of this, his smile became more ferocious. He waved his hand. Instantly, a black shawl fell in the direction of Hisoka. TSK. Hisoka smiled. His figure disappeared from the spot, and a trace of electric arc jumped on the spot. When Shao reacted, he found that the other party was already standing behind him. He didn't even react when the other party came through. But what did the other party do? Shao had this doubt in his mind, and then he found that the world around him was spinning, and his vision was completely uncontrollably rolling up. In this rolling moment, he not only saw the Phantom Troop member number 4 in front of him, he even saw a familiar figure behind him. To be precise, it should be himself without a head. There was also a card falling on the ground. 583. This thought, BHBF, emerged in his mind at the last second, and then his eyes went black and he lost consciousness. Ding. You killed one of the Yin Beast members. Ow. Ding. Randomly plunder the opponent's entry. Ding. Congratulations on obtaining realization talent. Purple, magical baggage, gold, animal skills, double blue. Ding. Your realization talent. Purple automatically merges and is promoted to realization talent. Double purple, a sound like the sound of nature rang in Liku's mind. Countless energies flowed into his limbs and bones. The materialization talent was upgraded to the double purple level. More importantly, he was lucky enough to get the ability that this guy was most proud of. Entry. Magical baggage gold effect. You can use your ability to shrink any object or person and put in Xiong. This effect can besiege the target. The strength of the siege depends on the strength of a user's ability. This is simply like a treasure bag, a must-have item for home travel and robbery. Perfect. Hee hee. Oh, the guy hiding behind the scenes? Don't worry. Our brigade will kill all of you soon, a bunch of old guys. Hisoka suddenly stepped forward and casually took out a hidden pinhole camera from the shirt pocket of the headless corpse. After saying these words, he crushed it with his fingers. I can only say that Xiao is a fool. He didn't even know that he was installed with a peeping and eavesdropping device. Even if he didn't deal with this guy was destined to be a worker for 10 lifetimes. Because everything he said in the vault had been heard by his leader. But Hisoka Liku was different. With his super 5 senses, he clearly sensed the existence of this thing. The so-called acting should be done in full, so he naturally had to act clearly for him. At this moment, the 10 elders, a group of gangsters, clearly saw Hisoka's face and the words he said. Their expressions instantly became extremely ugly. FK. Too much. Phantom Troop, right? We just turn a blind eye to these guys no matter what happened in the past, but now they are targeting us. Damn it. Arrange people to go there immediately and never let them take the things away and kill them all. Damn it. Damn idiots. Prepare hot weapons and arranging bees to go there. Phantom Troop should be removed from the list from now on. Hisoka's words completely angered the 10 elders. They are well-known figures in the gang world, but now they are being ridden on their heads and shit by a young man, and even threatened by the camera. This is definitely a shame that I can never tolerate in my life. It is rare that these old guys have almost no business, and they work together to swear to eradicate Hisoka's Phantom Troop for the first 10 times. You have to know that the treasures they sent to the auction this time are priceless, and even the hard work of the entire gang for several years. After these things were robbed, it was definitely a very serious blow to them, and it might even lead to an unstable position. This account must be settled, and it can only be cleaned with blood. Inside the vault, Hisoka Liku looked at the cloth bag that fell to the ground in front of him leisurely. Hisoka killed people, and Phantom Troop attracted hatred. It has nothing to do with him. And sure enough, after this guy died, the cloth bag created by his ability gradually disappeared, and then all the things were about to be spit out again like a blowout. But at this moment, the factor, a piece of golden silk that was more than 10 times larger than when Xiao used it, opened. If Xiao used this ability, it was a beggar-like rag sack. Then when Liku used it, it was completely like a treasure bag, which looked many times more powerful. In just a few breaths, all the things were directly wrapped by the golden silk and then shrunk into 10 small golden beautiful silk ribbons and fell into Liku's hand. The things in here should be no less than 100 billion rings, right? Liku didn't have much idea of the value of the things in here, but it didn't matter. Anyway, they were all in his hands. He could just ask anyone when the time came. The small bag was casually put into his pocket. Comfortable. Perfect. This Beast organization is really a good organization. It actually gave me such a good experience. I even feel that although this entry is only golden, it is not inferior to the red entry at all. At least this thing is too convenient to use. I don't have to worry about the problem of big and small bags taking up space in the future. Okay, let's go. Good night, Makaba. Hisoka Liku glanced at the body of the owl lying on the ground, with a faint smile on his lips. These guys are the black gloves of the gangsters, with blood on their hands. I don't know how many civilians have died in their hands. I killed this guy myself, but I didn't have any psychological burden. Even if I killed him 100 times or 10,000 times, it would not be enough to make up for the heinous crimes he committed. I am Liku, but a good man. I will get rid of harm for the people. Open the door, Hisoka Liku called out. The few so-called standing outside were stunned for a moment because they felt that the voice seemed a little wrong. But from beginning to end, they didn't find anyone going in, and there was only one entrance to the entire vault without any exit. There was no time to think too much. Once you offend the Een Beast, you will have to bear the consequences. Several guards hurried over and slowly opened the extremely heavy vault door. When the door of the vault was opened, the guards present were stunned, because the person standing in front of them was not the Een Beast member who had just entered, but a very strange guy. The camera at the door of the vault also clearly captured Hisoka's face. "Ooh, who are you? Where is Lord Owl?" A gangster guard said in astonishment. "Lord Owl is dead. Stop him. Stop him. Don't let him run away." Another gangster guard suddenly saw the body inside through the crack in the door. Owl's head had been chopped off, and the body was still lying in a pool of blood. It seemed that he could not survive at all. He shouted in shock and anger. "Ah, it's really rude to make such a fuss." Hisoka Liku shook his head and flicked his finger. "This is a flying poker card. These ordinary guards are no match for them at all, and their heads were cut off in an instant. The appearance of death is exactly the same as that of the owl. Ding. You killed, ding. You randomly looted, ding. You killed." A series of system prompts sounded his mind, but Liku didn't care about these system prompts, because the entries dropped by these ordinary monsters are all ordinary green and blue entries. And there are no special entries, no telekinesis. After all, telekinesis is still quite rare. However, no matter how small a mosquito leg is, it is still meat. Since the system automatically picks it up for you anyway, all the useless ones are directly crushed and used to pile up experience bars. The entire vault was directly washed with blood, and then the camera was destroyed. After all, it was enough for them to get evidence of Hisoka's crime, which could prove that the underground vault was taken by Phantom. Troop will be emptied, but I think the guys from the brigade will come soon, so I should leave some surprises for them. After making sure that all the cameras were destroyed, Hisoka Liku raised his hand. All the bodies and blood on the ground floated up. Lightning flashed. All turned to ashes. Liku is very familiar with this set now. Anyway, killing gang members is as painless as killing fish. These members have resurrected again. To be precise, they were created with the ability of the Thunder Beast, combined with the small 5 clone technique. And they were given the simplest AI program. That is, to give them some art when the time comes. Explosion is art. Boom ha 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 ha. After Hisoka Liku settled all this, he left here in a very good mood. At this moment, the auction officially began. Countless guests and wealthy people gathered, all of whom were the upper class and elites of society. Dazoni was also in charge of checking on the side, and Skawara's dogs were all over the periphery of the venue. On the rostrum, 2 people, one big and one small, wearing black suits came on stage. The big one was Franklin with ears hanging down to his shoulders, and the small one was Phaeton with squinting eyes. "Welcome, everyone. So we don't need to be polite. All of you go to hell." Phaeton's voice resounded throughout the venue, and Franklin's expression behind him instantly became very dangerous. He raised his hands suddenly, and in the horrified eyes of everyone, 10 fingers fell off with a clatter, hanging on a thin iron chain. The 10 broken fingers turned out to be black holes. It looked like a Gatling gun barrel, which made people inexplicably terrified. Chapter 100U Killed Pacunida Arrangement. What? The sudden scene instantly made all the gangsters and elites present change their faces. As the deputy captain of the Nasra family bodyguards, Dazoni looked like he was going to die. Before he could turn around, he heard the deafening sound of crazy bullets. Two-handed machine gun. All 10 fingers of Franklin turned into firepower that was vented out of the muzzle. Protect the boss. Damn it. Hurry up and defend. Other bodyguards nearby roared in fear and rushed over frantically. There were also some other none. Some people even took out alloy steel shields. But at the moment of blocking the opponent's bullets, all these bodyguards changed their faces because their super alloy cards were easily torn and penetrated by the opponent's bullets. Even the bodyguards standing in the front were beaten into a bloody mess in just a breath. Dazoni's pupils dilated instantly. He tried desperately to retreat, but he watched the bullets coming at him like a storm. The other party was obviously just one person, but melee was comparable to a small army. It's over. Such a thought emerged into Zoni's mind, and it was completely blank. Dang, dang, ding, dang, dang, but the next second, something shocked him. A figure appeared in front of him. The other party just raised his right hand and opened his 5 fingers towards the rain of bullets. Instantly, an invisible stance emerged, and all the bullets stopped in midair. But the other party only protected himself. In the venue, the other gang members could not resist the terrifying bullets and were all beaten to pieces. Even some powerful gangsters who were ready to escape were still covered by the other party's pouring firepower. In just a few moments, the originally crowded and lively venue was now filled with a strong smell of blood, and broken limbs were everywhere. Even the sound of screaming and wailing could not be heard, because those people were all beaten to death. There were only 2 figures standing there. One was Dazoni, and the other was Liku, who had just come back from the vault after fighting. Not bad. This is the effect he wanted. He had no interest in these gangs, and death was death. These guys had no idea how much blood was stained on their hands, and how many blood feuds they had. Death here was also atonement. The fish he wanted to catch finally came. But now the big fish Krallo has not appeared, and he still has to prove that the other party robbed the entire auction. There are a lot of cameras around here. With the irrefutable facts, he just sat back and reaped the benefits. There is no need to fight them hard for the time being. Captain Dazoni was very surprised, but before the smoke and dust on the field rose, he found that he was grabbed by Liku and disappeared on the spot. The smoke and dust dissipated. Franklin stopped attacking. There was no living person in the entire venue, and it was even full of holes like honeycomb coal. It seemed that if another grenade was thrown, the whole building would collapse. No matter those guys were hiding behind the wall or behind the cabinet, they were all beaten to pieces. It must be said that Franklin's ability is absolutely excellent, especially in this kind of large-scale combat, which is an ultra-long-range AQE damage. A bunch of trash. Franklin stopped attacking, his 10 fingers still emitting wisps of green smoke. But his face was full of excitement. I killed them all in one go. I'm not satisfied yet. Is it time for me to clean up again? Holding a bloody vacuum cleaner, the harmless-looking, bespectacled girl walked slowly, and behind her were several bodies with smashed heads. Shizuku, a member of the brigade. She looks simple, but in fact she is also a murderer. Her job is to clean the battlefield. Wash yourself clean, including the seats and so on. Shizuku spoke to her vacuum cleaner. What surprised people was that the vacuum cleaner suddenly opened wide, as if it had a mouth, and then swallowed up the entire venue full of blood like a wind circle of residual clouds. In just a moment, the entire venue had been cleaned up. Not even a corpse was left. Something strange. Phaeton suddenly frowned slightly. What's strange? Is it because these parents died too quickly? Franklin asked curiously. No. Do you remember that there was a bodyguard patrolling at the venue? That guy's strength should be pretty good, but why didn't you see his body? If I remember correctly, he should have been standing in the range of your bullets just now. Phaeton looked at the direction where Dazoni disappeared with some confusion. He had a very good memory, and he could almost remember everything he saw. Even the bodies on the ground could be detected with just a glance. I think I beat them to pieces. Don't worry about it. They're just trash. If they die, they die. It doesn't matter. Even if they escaped, they can be killed later. Franklin said indifferently. Well, that's it. Shizuka nodded blankly. Well, anyway, you should be careful. There seems to be some problems with this operation. Phaeton seemed to be a little worried, but he finally sighed, put his hands in his pockets, and shook his head indifferently. Even if the opponent escaped, even if the opponent was very strong and had hidden strength, he had absolute confidence that he could kill the opponent, because he was the strongest. Outside, on the roof, Kurapika and Miss Melody were monitoring everything in the venue. They would not leave their respective positions without Liku's order. Melody had returned to her ugly appearance and did not seem to have any abnormality, but now she was only loyal to Liku. Dazoni, whose back was soaked with cold sweat, was thrown aside by Liku at this moment. His head was still full of the scene of the dense bullets. He did not expect that he really managed to escape death. All this was thanks to Li Ku. It seemed that his choice this time was definitely the most correct choice in his life. If he had not surrendered to Li Ku, he would have become a corpse now. Those guys were too dangerous. Their strength far exceeded the limit that a bodyguard like him could handle. Captain, thank you so much. Dazoni came back to his senses, panting. He couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat from his forehead and looked at Ji Ku with gratitude. He knew that if Li Ku hadn't brought him here, he would have died long ago. It doesn't matter. I said I would keep you safe this time. Li Ku said lightly. For him, saving this guy was just a piece of cake. If it wasn't for the purpose of proving the crime of the brigade and getting the big fish out, he could have done it at the venue. A little impatience will ruin a big plan. You guys stay here. I'll go get 2 oranges to eat. Li Ku suddenly said. Huh. Hearing this, the 3 people present were directly confused. At this critical moment, Li Ku still wants to eat oranges. What does this mean? But the 3 people, including Kurapika, will not refute any decision of Li Ku, because Li Shu has absolute authority and status in their hearts from beginning to end. Even everyone can blindly trust Li Ku. At least Li Ku will never harm them. Li Ku's figure disappeared on the spot. This is the effect of the ability of the Thunder Beast clone. You can shoot to the position of one of your clones and exchange with the clone, and you can also save your life. And at this moment, the underground vault of the auction. Ha! The group of idiots up there are still fighting so fiercely, and they don't even know that their things are going to be stolen by us. Yuvijin grinned wildly. Be careful. Such an important auction will arrange powerful characters to wait for us here. Pakunada frowned slightly. Are you talking about these trash? Nabinaga grinned and pointed at the gangster bodyguards who were trembling all over and holding their hands in front of the golden door. Pakunada was speechless. Indeed, these gangster bodyguards looked quite weak, just a little stronger than ordinary people. The biggest thing they could rely on was nothing more than a pistol, but that thing was no different from peanuts in front of everyone. It posed no threat at all. Get out of here. Yuvijin laughed excitedly and punched one of the guards hard. The guy hit the wall and exploded into a bloody mist. Nabinaga drew his sword. The remaining guards who rushed over were cut into pieces and fell to the ground. In the blink of an eye, these guards were cleaned up. TSK, did you see that? This is their guarding power. It's really too weak. I don't even have the interest to fight. But this gate is a bit interesting. Yuvijin grinned and stood in front of the extremely heavy super alloy gate. His fist actually began to emit a blazing light. This is somewhat similar to Li Ku's fist. Move aside, this madman is actually trying to forcefully break this door, but we don't have the key. This method should be the simplest. Nabinaga ordered. Only Kubi, Bullet, Girl Pakunada, Nabinaga, and Yuvijin came over, and the others were responsible for other areas. Several people quickly dispersed a little, fearing that they would be affected by the fist of this man. Yuvijin's mouth corners opened wider, as if he was extremely confident and proud of his own strength. Super Destruction Fist. Boom, the terrifying fist smashed on the super alloy door with a loud bang. In the deafening explosion, the super alloy door was actually twisted and dented. One punch didn't break through. Yuvijin was a little stunned. Damn, it's really embarrassing. But these guys definitely spent a lot of money. This alloy door was actually more than 1 meter thick. Another punch. Damn it, Yuvijin roared. Don't waste your energy. Your hand has been broken. Come in. Nabinaga drew his sword directly and saw a bright knife, light falling with a clear sound. The completely twisted and deformed door lock was directly cut open. The heavy alloy spring plate was also slowly pushed open. Yuvijin was speechless. Ha, don't be sad. Yuvijin, when we get the money, we will have a lot to fight for you. Could be comforted, but when they walked into the surveillance, they were stunned. Because the inside of this vault is cleaner than a dog licking it. Let alone what precious things, not even a hair fell here. Of course, there was a headless corpse not far away. The other party's head and corpse acted separately. His face was still stunned. Several people suddenly noticed the poker card stuck on the ground. Hisoka? What did that guy do? Why did the people who came here before us and killed take away all the things? Damn it, we worked in vain. Why didn't you cooperate with us in the meeting? Do you want to take all the credit? Kobe complained immediately. FK, Yuvajin was even more furious. He finally hammered the door open, but found that Hisoka had gotten there first. The most annoying thing was that the guy didn't tell everyone any information. He did all these things secretly one by one. Is that guy going to make an exception for the team? Damn it. Wait. No, it's not right. If Hisoka has arrived here, then the guards at the door should all be dead. But why are they still here? Bullet Girl Pakunita frowned. Not good. Are they aware of something in an instant? Several people want to retreat, but they suddenly found that the bodies that had been cut into pieces were piled up at the door without knowing when. Then the alloy door was even closed by something. Damn it, there is a traitor. Terminate the operation. Yuvajin wanted to shout this. But the next moment, in the eyes of everyone who was very focused, the corpses actually emitted brilliant lightning. Boom, the piled-up corpses exploded like a pile of dynamite. Originally, these were constructed by the Thunder Beast, and Jiku was just remotely controlling them. As long as you have read a book, you will know. The explosion effect is best in a confined space. This is why a most ordinary small firecracker can directly explode a water tank full of water. The energy transmission effect in a confined space is the best. If the explosion effect in an ordinary space is 1, then the explosion effect in a confined space will be at least 3 or even 5. Boom, boom. In an instant, the whole vault exploded like an ignited bomb. The terrifying shock wave was like a tsunami, instantly swallowing all of them. On the balcony, Liku was drinking milk tea and basking in the sun. He was looking down at this grand exhibition match. Ding! You killed Pakunita. Ding! Automatic looting is activated. Congratulations on obtaining CUN.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.